This is disc number 4.
All of them ask to do chores with us because they think it will be fun, which always makes Veronica mad because she hates doing chores. At least, the outside ones. She tries to stop them, but they never listen to her. All they imagine is the cute little petting zoo at the county fair each summer, where you pour seed in your hand like a cup and let goats and pigs nibble from it. But we're the real deal. Feeding the animals involves wheelbarrows and lots of shoveling. Most of them don't get any farther than the barn and all the manure squishing on their shoes before they start having second thoughts. Veronica trails along until they tire out, making loud and dramatic sighs the entire time. There's only been one who ever made it through all the chores. Once, one of the Playdate friends was in the barn when the vet came to inseminate our cows. Her eyes as she watched where he stuck his arm left me and Crystal squealing with laughter for the next 3 days. But that's not how I want tonight to go, especially since it's a sleepover. Usually, after chores, there's only about half an hour before they get picked up by their parents, but it's a totally different deal with the sleepovers. That's when things get really tough. What was Mrs. Wheeler thinking, making it a sleepover? Doesn't she remember how the last one ended? Hopefully, once we get in the barn, Alice will be one of the kids who gets completely grossed out by all the smells and weird sounds. Those are the easy ones because all they want to do is play inside after that. Crystal and I get off the hook then because we make sure we don't step foot back in the house until they're gone. I size her up as the farm comes in sight. Her pale skin is a dead giveaway that she doesn't get outside much, and the extra roll around her waist means she doesn't exercise much either. Still, you never know. I've been surprised before. Alice wolfs down her dinner, shoveling the mashed potatoes into her mouth between bites of chicken. She's already on her second plate. The girl is impressive. She made it through chores and never complained, even though I know she had to be dying. She was covered in sweat while we emptied the feeding troughs, and it was like 90 degrees in the barn, but she just huffed and puffed right through it. That's why you can never underestimate people, and you definitely can't judge them by how they look. Veronica pretended not to be impressed by her, but I know she was. Poor thing has no idea what she's in for in the morning after she sleeps on that lumpy roll-out bed. She'll probably be so achy and stiff, she'll be walking to the breakfast table like an old man. I'm holding myself back from tearing into my food because I want to savor every bite. I hate playdates, but I love the dinners that go with them. We don't have guests over to the house like regular people. Supposedly, Mrs. Wheeler has parents, but I've never seen them, and they don't visit. She says they're living up north, but who knows? The only people who come to the house are social workers dropping off kids, but we haven't had a new kid in over a year. Mrs. Wheeler outdid herself tonight, which is easy to do when there's nowhere for you to go but up. Most of our vegetables come out of cans, and she's a huge fan of tuna helper. I'm not sure if you can actually call what she does cooking if everything comes out of a can or box. But she goes all out for Veronica's friends, cooking to impress them in case their parents ask what they had for dinner. Tonight, she cooked an actual chicken, and she made gravy to go with the mashed potatoes. It's not homemade, but it's still delicious. I've set everything up in the living room for you girls to watch Cowboy Bebop after dinner, Mrs. Wheeler announces. You can make some popcorn, and I even bought some diet soda pop that's getting cold in the fridge while we eat. Mama, Veronica groans from across the table. I can't help but cringe with Veronica. Luckily, Alice is too buried in her food to notice how hard Mrs. Wheeler is trying, or the needy desperation in her voice. Mrs. Wheeler looks surprised at Veronica's response and ignores her embarrassment. I was thinking you might want to watch a movie after your show ended. How does that sound? I can put the tapes out on the coffee table. Mama! Veronica groans even louder this time, but Mrs. Wheeler is unfazed by her embarrassment. She always is. There's only going to be one movie on the coffee table since we only own 2 VHS movies: Back to the Future and Dirty Dancing. Mrs. Wheeler doesn't allow us to watch Dirty Dancing. That's reserved for her own guilty pleasure, although I've never seen Mrs. Wheeler in the living room alone, so I have no idea where she watches it. That sounds fun! Alice matches Mrs. Wheeler's enthusiasm. She's just as committed to making this playdate a success. Crystal and I start clearing dishes as soon as we're finished. Crystal loses at rock, paper, scissors and gets stuck separating the leftover chicken from the bone. It's the grossest job, and we'd both rather haul manure than touch animal bones. But someone has to do it. I lost the last 2 times, so it's about time she had a turn. I fill the sink with soap and start soaking dishes while she separates the chicken from the bone, making sure she gets every piece and nothing goes to waste. There's nothing Mrs. Wheeler hates more than waste, especially when it comes to food. It's one of the reasons she keeps the cupboards locked. We keep our heads down while we work, hoping they'll forget about us if we're quiet, and we can sneak off to our bedroom once we're finished. Alice gets up from the table and brings her plate to the trash, scraping it off before carrying it over to the sink and placing it in the sudsy water. "Where's a towel?" she asks, scanning the kitchen. "I can help dry. You just have to show me where everything gets put away." Mrs. Wheeler lets out a nervous laugh and stands behind her, placing her hand gently on her back. It's so weird to see her touch someone besides Veronica. "Oh, nonsense, sweetie. You don't have to help with the dishes. Why don't you and Veronica go take a seat in the living room? Maybe there's a program on TV you can watch while we get the kitchen cleaned up." She says "we" like it implies she'll be helping us, but I can't remember the last time she cleaned the kitchen. We're not just her hired hands on the farm. She relies on us as her housekeepers, too. She'd have us cook meals, if she trusted us with the food. Alice shakes her head and gives her a smile. "It's okay. I love doing dishes." She stands next to me at the sink and starts rinsing the plates, taking great care as she places them in the strainer. I catch Crystal's eye at the refrigerator, and she gives an almost imperceptible shrug. Mrs. Wheeler's eyes bore into me from behind, as if I have something to do with Alice's wanting to help, but it's not my fault. Alice has fallen under the assumption that we're one of those regular, happy families she sees on TV, who does things together. She's an only child, and spent half of chores complaining about how lonely she is in her house because her parents work all the time, and how she wishes she had siblings. She's ready to join the fold. All she needs is an invitation. Drying is my favorite part anyway. Sometimes my skin can get sensitive with certain kinds of soap, though. The doctors say I don't have eczema, but my mom wants to take me to a specialist anyway because she's convinced I do, but I don't really care. I just try not to let my hands get too dry. I use baby lotion on them, and that seems to help. You ever tried baby lotion on your skin? Everyone thinks it's for babies, but it's great for our skin, too. I mean, you have to think about it. Babies are super sensitive and pure, like super pure, so they can't have anything in their lotion, so why wouldn't it be a good thing to use? Have you ever tried it? I haven't, I respond, even though I'm not sure which one of us she's directing the question to. It's like all the words Alice has stored up over the weeks alone in her house have to come out tonight. Veronica sits at the table, waiting to be excused, and looking to Mrs. Wheeler to tell her what she should do. None of the kids have ever offered to help with the dishes before, and it's thrown everything more off balance than it already is. "Veronica, would you like to help?" Mrs. Wheeler asks, with a slight hesitation in her voice that you wouldn't be able to detect unless you knew her. I don't need to turn around to know Veronica is wearing a shocked expression. I can't remember a time when Mrs. Wheeler asked Veronica to help with anything. Alice turns around. "Yeah, Veronica, come help me dry," she says eagerly. Veronica walks slowly over to the row of drawers next to the sink. She pulls out 2 drying cloths like she's in a daze and gives one to Alice. Alice beams as the 2 of them start drying together. Mrs. Wheeler falls in line and starts putting dishes away in their designated spots once they've wiped them. The giggles bubble inside me knowing how thrown off Mrs. Wheeler and Veronica are. I don't dare look at Crystal to see her reaction because I'll burst out laughing if I do. Veronica's annoyance is a palpable force, but Alice is oblivious to the weird tension around her. She's grinning like it's Christmas, and she's having the family moment she's been asking Santa Claus for every year. It's amazing how fast things get cleaned up when there's 5 of us doing it. Veronica and Alice move into the living room. Mrs. Wheeler looks almost as pleased as Alice at how well things appear to be going. Veronica wears her usual scowl. "Well, good night," Crystal says to Mrs. Wheeler, even though we never tell her good night. Normally, after we've cleared and put away the dinner dishes, the 2 of us retreat to our room as fast as we can. I don't even know what the 2 of them do at night, because we don't cross over to the other side once we're on our side of the house. "Good night, Crystal." Mrs. Wheeler's reply is as awkward and out of place as Crystal's. "You too, Nicole," she adds as an afterthought. "Wait, aren't you guys watching the movie?" Alice asks from her position on the couch, turning around to look at us. Crystal and I freeze. We just have a lot of homework to get done," Crystal says, thinking quick on her feet. "But it's Friday," Alice counters, with a puzzled expression on her face. "You have all weekend to do your homework." "Yeah, but we really like to get ahead on Spanish," I say. Alice wrinkles her forehead. "We didn't get any Spanish homework." Veronica glares over her head at us. Joining them in the living room is the last thing she wants from us. But I forgot Alice is in our Spanish class, and she's right. Mrs. Aravello didn't give us any homework this weekend. "Oh," I say, letting out a fake laugh and hoping it sounds convincing. "You're right. That was last week." She pats the space on the couch between her and Veronica. "Come on, there's plenty of room, right, Veronica?" "Sure. Lots of room," Veronica responds, without any emotion in her voice. Crystal and I turn around, looking to Mrs. Wheeler for permission. She nods her consent, and we head back into the living room. 17. Nicole. Then. Crystal scored a bottle of gin from Scott at school today, and we waited until Veronica and Alice were settled in her bedroom before sneaking out our bedroom window. We spend most of our Friday nights in the hayloft. It's my favorite part of the week. Crystal's, too. I take Crystal's hand and help ease her out the window. We plop onto the grass and eye the house. No lights. I nod to her, and we don't speak as we tiptoe across the grass and head toward the barn. Just as we're nearing the driveway, Alice leaps out from behind the woodshed. "Hi!" Crystal and I jump back. "What are you doing out here?" Crystal asks, keeping her voice low and eyeing the house to see if any lights turn on or there are any signs of movement. "What are you doing out here?" Veronica echoes, as she slides around the corner and stands next to Alice. She puts her hands on her hips. She's wearing her full smirk tonight. I shove the bottle of gin down the back of my jeans and pull my shirt over it, making sure to stay out of their sight. Thankfully, the moon is only a sliver, and there are tons of clouds, so it's almost pitch black, making it easy to hide. "You were so right, Veronica. They totally snuck out. She said you guys were going to, but I was like, no way. The 2 of you seem like such goody two-shoes." She puts her hand over her mouth. "Oh my gosh, I hope I didn't make you mad. I didn't mean anything bad by it. I think it's super cool that you're sneaking out." She's so giddy, she bounces as she talks, dancing on her tiptoes. "Can we come with you? Where are you going?" "Shh," I whisper. "You're going to wake Mrs. Wheeler." Veronica shakes her head. No, she's not. We could yell right now and she'd probably sleep right through it. Mom's a super hard sleeper. She reads our surprised expressions. You didn't know that? You think you guys are really that quiet when you sneak out? What are you talking about? Crystal asks, feigning innocence, but even in the dark you can tell she's faking it. You don't think I know about all your little parties in the barn? Truth or dare? She wags her head back and forth mockingly as she says the last part. My stomach rolls in on itself. It doesn't matter what she's seen us do. What she heard us say. Does she sneak out and spy on us in the same way she sneaks out to spy on the pigs? Alice grabs my arms. Oh my gosh, you guys play Truth or Dare? Is that what you're going to do tonight? Can we go with you? She looks at Veronica for permission, not even trying to hide her eagerness. Is that okay with you? You want to play too, right? It's kind of a dumb game. I mean, like, you say you're telling the truth, but how does anyone really even know you're telling the truth? Veronica says, in her typical sourpuss fashion. It's not like there's any way you can tell. Alice frowns. Don't you want to at least have a little fun tonight? Our fun is ruined. All I want to do is turn around and run back into the house, whip open the window, and crawl into bed. We never should have done this. Maybe we should just go back inside. Crystal speaks my thoughts. Yeah, I quickly agree. It was one thing when it was just us, but we don't want to take the chance of getting caught and getting you guys in trouble. No, come on, guys, let's do it! Alice sounds like the football cheerleaders during the pep rallies. We're already outside, so we might as well do something, and everyone knows that it's not a real sleepover unless you play Truth or Dare. Nobody wants to be the first to move. The four of us stand in a circle as the moment stretches out among us. Finally, Veronica gives in. Okay, fine. We might as well, she says, with a half-hearted shoulder shrug. Yes! Alice squeals, throwing her arms around her. This is going to be so much fun! Travis Tritt plays in the background on the small portable radio that we keep tuned to the local country music station. It's tied with string to one of the rafters so we don't knock it down. It's been up there for so long, cobwebs have grown around it. The sweet, musty odor of hay and cheap gin fills my nostrils. My thoughts are fuzzy and slip sideways. Nicole, Truth or Dare? Alice giggles. Her cheeks are flushed from the booze and the heat up here. Beads of sweat glisten on her forehead. She shares a bale of hay with Crystal. The bottle of gin is wedged between them. Nearly empty. Crystal's just as sweaty, and they wear identical grins. Crystal's met her match in Alice. Turns out, Alice raids her parents' liquor cabinet on a regular basis when they're gone, and she was proud to show us how much she could drink. The two of them are giggling like they've been best friends forever and keep trying to get me pumped up, but I'm too tired. Drinking makes me sleepy, and I want to go to bed, but they don't show any signs of slowing down. Veronica is hunched over next to them on a hay bale. Her hands cup her face as she rests her elbows on her knees. The moonlight streams through the cracks in the barn, casting strange shadows on her face. I sit across from them, and she shoots me dirty looks every few seconds, like I have any control over the two of them. They're in their own world. Drunk people get like that. You just have to wait it out. They'll come back to us eventually. The Travis Tritt song ends, and the first few beats of Shania Twain's Any Man of Mine sends Alice flying to her feet. Crystal leaps up too, since Shania Twain is one of her favorite country singers. Her hair is frizzy from the heat. I love this song! Alice squeals, clapping and stamping her feet. Crystal jumps around, focusing on her feet as she moves them out of sync with the music, trying to remember the steps to the dance I taught her. She's doing it all wrong, as usual. She can run, but she can't dance to save her life. She's as uncoordinated as she is tone deaf. So is Alice, but the two of them belt out the lyrics at the top of their lungs as they stumble awkwardly through the line dance. I burst out laughing. Oh my gosh, you're doing it all wrong. Let me help you. I get a burst of energy and stand to join them. They hoot and holler when I do, jumping up and down and reaching out to me. I arrange us all side by side. You have to do it like this, I say, demonstrating each movement. Put your left hand out like this, then jut your hip out, and 1, 2, 3, tap. They give it a try and do it all wrong again, tripping over each other and giggling. Come on, Veronica, dance with us. Crystal gestures for her to join us. Veronica shakes her head. I'm okay. Come on, you party pooper! Alice runs over to Veronica. She grabs her hands and pulls her up, looping an arm around her shoulder. Alice sways to the song with her eyes closed, like she's really feeling the lyrics. Veronica stands next to her with her arms at her sides, shifting from one leg to the next, doing the stiffest two-step I've ever seen. I catch Crystal's eye at the same time and we burst out laughing. Crystal's goofy grin is plastered on her face and she can't stop giggling. I give her a sloppy kiss on the cheek. I love drunk Crystal, I say, and she laughs like I'm kidding, but it's true. It's one of the rare times she lets the weight of the world off her shoulders. I love watching it happen as she eases into her body, and for just a few hours, her insides uncoil and she stops working so hard. And I love drunk Nicole, she slurs. Except I'm not drunk, I laugh. This is as far as I get, and it's nothing. You don't know what you're missing, right, Alice? Crystal calls to her. Alice runs to the bale and grabs the bottle. She raises it in the air before taking another pull, wiping her mouth when she's finished. Totally! Whose turn is next? I point to Veronica and smile. Guess it's your lucky night. I shouldn't tease, but I can't help myself. She'll punish us for it later, but I don't care. I just like feeling like I'm in control in my own house. Veronica makes a face. I'm not playing. Come on, Veronica, you have to play! Alice whines like a toddler. You haven't done a single dare, and you— That's not true, Veronica interrupts. I made it all the way across that. She points to the rafters above the connecting ties, where she scooted across on her butt the entire way, even though the dare was to walk. Come on, that doesn't count because you did it wrong, right, guys? Alice turns to us for confirmation. Yep, doesn't count, Crystal agrees. Any other time, we wouldn't think of agreeing with Veronica's guest over her, but none of the rules apply tonight. We're in uncharted territory. Veronica rolls her eyes as she agrees. Fine, whatever. Yeah! Alice jumps up and down. All right, then. Alice's eyes roam the barn. We've used up all the good dares already. Do 5 cartwheels in a row over the furnace vent, take a sip of one of the goat's milk bottles, crawl along the rafters without falling, and of course all the other ones the others purposefully didn't do because drinking was the alternative if you lost and they wanted to drink. Not me. I only had to drink twice, but that was enough. Alice finally lands on the hayloft door. Does this open? She asks, her eyes lit with an idea. Crystal doesn't bother answering. She unlocks the door, and the wind whips it open, smashing it against the side of the barn. I rush over to latch it on the side of the wall before it knocks into her. Be careful, I say, pushing her back, sounding like a paranoid grown-up. But I don't care. It's almost 2 stories up, and there's nothing but concrete on the landing below. The grappling hook dangles from its pulley cord. Alice stands on the edge and sticks her head out of the opening into the night sky. I didn't realize how far up we are, she says, then quickly returns her attention to Veronica. You have to stick your butt out here and moon the Big Dipper. Bare butt? I ask. Alice hoots. Total bare butt. Oh my God, yes! Crystal shrieks like a cheerleader. That's such a good idea! She flips around to face Veronica. Come on, you have to do it. I don't have to do anything, Veronica snaps, sounding even more like a grown-up than me, and the three of us squeal with laughter. Her face contorts with rage. Are you seriously not going to do it? Alice asks. Yeah, Veronica, come on, I say, giving her a playful shove from behind. We have to do this with every single dare. It takes 10 minutes just to talk her into doing it, and by the time we get her to agree, it's not even worth it. Veronica glowers at me. I want to go back inside. No! Alice's face falls. We're just starting to have fun. Why are you trying to ruin it? I'm not trying to ruin anything, Veronica shoots back. Seriously? Alice raises her eyebrows. That's all you've done since we left school. You're just drunk, Veronica says in a disgusted tone. You don't even know what you're talking about. Really? Alice's eyes flare with anger. All we've been trying to do is have a good time. You're the one that's ruining it. You call this a good time? Veronica points to Crystal, then me. Hanging out with these losers? You must be desperate. Crystal steps toward Veronica like she wants to smack her, and I pull her back. Let's get out of here, I say to Crystal. Things are spiraling, and I don't like it. Crystal tugs her arm away from me and goes to stand next to Alice to show her support. You're the one that's a loser, Veronica, Alice says. Crystal is way more fun than you'll ever be. I only said yes to coming over so that I could hang out with her. She turns and high-fives Crystal. Veronica's face is red. I don't know if it's from the heat or from rage. Maybe both. She takes a step toward Alice. My insides curl. Shut up, she spits out. Just shut up! Alice throws her head back and laughs in her face. You know what? Everyone at school said you were a freak, and they were right. The air stills. Suddenly, Veronica lunges at her and grips her throat in one fist, squeezing tightly. Alice's eyes bulge in shock and surprise. She lets out a strangled breath, frantically batting at Veronica's hands. In one swift movement, Veronica shoves her backward and flings her through the opening. 1 second, Alice is in front of us, and in the next second she's gone, hurtling into the darkness. Alice lets out a blood-curdling scream as she free-falls, disappearing over the edge. Alice! I yell at the top of my lungs. The moment stretches in slow motion. A loud crack ricochets into the night. Alice! I scream again, racing to the hayloft door. The muscles in Crystal's neck fan in and out with each frantic breath. Her nostrils flare. She's rooted to her spot, gaping at the opening. Veronica is frozen next to her, blind panic in her eyes. And then I do it. I look down. Alice's body is splayed on the concrete below, her arms spread wide out, her left leg bent at a 90-degree angle at the knee. Crystal, go get help! I scream and grab her, pulling her away from the opening and snapping her out of her stupor. She bolts through the hayloft with me right behind her. We're down the ladder in seconds. She races through the barn and toward the house to get help. I sprint to where Alice's broken body lies twisted on the cement ground. I kneel beside her, too scared to touch her in case I hurt her. A frozen shriek of terror contorts her face. Blood pools underneath her head. Her body gives a small twitch. It's okay, Alice. You're going to be okay, I say, as the circle of red grows larger, working its way around my shoes. Her eyes match those of the deer hanging in our living room. The color has disappeared, pupils huge. Crystal ran to get help. She's fast. I promise you, she's fast. Remember all that stuff you were saying about her tonight? I hear Veronica coming down the ladder from the hayloft. Crystal's running as fast as she can now to get to the house. She'll get you help. I promise she will. Just hold on, okay? Veronica reaches us quickly and stands over us. She's out of breath, huffing and puffing from all the work it took getting down by herself. Is she okay? She asks between wheezes. No, of course she's not okay. You shoved her out of the hayloft. I didn't mean to. It was an accident. She crouches beside me. Is she okay? Alice, are you okay? She goes to touch her and I smack her hand away before she can. Don't! That's super bad to do when your head is messed up. Is she breathing? Her chest is moving. I point to it. There's a slight rise and then fall. See that? Why are her eyes like that? Her voice wavers like she might cry. I don't know, but it's not good. Eyes aren't supposed to look like that. I want to close the lids, but I can't do that. That's what you do to people who are dead, and she's not dead. She can't die. God, where's Crystal? Veronica searches the area like she might be hiding somewhere. What's taking her so long? I snap my head up and glare at her. Don't you dare get mad at her. This is all your fault. Her face is scrunched in a way I've never seen. Tears swell in her eyes. She chews on her lower lip. Suddenly, Alice kicks me as her body stiffens. Alice? Are you okay? I ask as her body stiffens again. She clenches her teeth and something white spurts from between them. She's puking. We need to turn her over so she doesn't choke. No, she's having a seizure. Don't touch her, Veronica shrieks before I can do anything. How do you know that? I ask, but my question answers itself as Alice's body starts dancing in jerking motions on the concrete. We have to make sure she doesn't hurt herself. Get behind her and watch her head, Veronica orders. I move behind Alice and sit cross-legged, carefully moving her head to my lap. Veronica sits at her side. Alice's body trembles like an earthquake is roaring through it. Gargling noises come from her throat while she spasms. Her body gives a final jerk and then stills. I wait for it to move again, but it doesn't. Alice? I call to her, like she's disappeared somewhere inside herself, and I have to get her back. Her pupils are dilated. No response. Alice? Veronica tries this time. Fear lines every inch of her face. She reads the fear mirrored in mine as we stare at Alice's body. You're going to be okay. Crystal is going to be here soon. I take the hand closest to me and stroke it gingerly. The skin is soft, relaxed. Something about her body isn't right. Her chest isn't moving. The gasps are gone. There's no rise or fall. Oh my God, she stopped breathing! Veronica, I really think she stopped breathing! Did she swallow her tongue? Veronica scuttles up to us and puts her face next to Alice's, straining to hear the slightest sound of breath, feel any air on her cheek. She raises her eyes to meet mine. They're terror-filled. I don't think she is. Tilt her head back. But I don't need to say anything else because Veronica jumps into action. She pushes me aside and lays Alice's head flat on the ground. She tilts it back like we learned in health class last year. She plugs Alice's nose and breathes 2 big breaths into her mouth, then lifts her own head like she's been underwater and is coming up for air. Do we do the chest things? I ask. How do we know if we do the chest things? Her head is back down on Alice's mouth, giving her 2 more breaths. I don't wait for an answer. There's no time. When she pulls her lips away, I put my hands together and press down on Alice's chest as hard as I can. 1, 2, 3, Veronica and I chant out loud together. And then we take a second to wait. Nothing. There's only more blood draining out of the back of her head and pooling around us. I've never seen so much blood. Come on, we have to keep trying. Veronica's voice is frantic. Veronica breathes. I pound. I don't know how much time passes. Maybe seconds, maybe minutes. Then suddenly Mrs. Wheeler's shrill scream cuts through the night. Veronica! Mama! Veronica matches her hysteria. Crystal runs in front of Mrs. Wheeler, leading the way through the barn and to us at the other end. The front of her shirt is drenched in sweat like she just finished a meet. Sweat glistens on her forehead. Mrs. Wheeler thunders behind her in her long nightgown. They're both out of breath when they reach us. Mrs. Wheeler shoves Veronica and me away, kneeling beside Alice's body. "Crystal, you run to the front of the driveway and wait for the paramedics," she orders in her thundering voice, and before the command is out of her mouth, Crystal is gone. "Veronica and Nicole, go open the gate so they can get their gear in." Veronica and I jump up, scurrying away to do as we're told.
18. Crystal. The rooms in my home have never felt smaller as I pace the living room, but I can't sit still. It's been over an hour, and Eric still hasn't called me back since I left him a furious message about the incident Aiden caused on the unit tonight with Nicole. It takes every ounce of self-control I have not to go straight to the hospital and tear into Aiden. I didn't get a chance to process anything that happened in my meeting with Eric before getting the call from Dr. McGowan that Aiden had gotten into Nicole's room and created a huge scene. How did he even get into her room? He's not on her visitors list, and even if he was, patients have to be on level 5 before they get those types of room privileges. According to the nurses, he got onto the unit without raising anyone's suspicions because he was dressed in a gown and looked like a patient. Except anyone who has spent time on the unit knows that most of the patients are in regular clothes. You're only in a hospital gown when you're first admitted or on level 1 like Nicole, with around-the-clock monitoring. You have to earn your clothes like everything else. So if Aiden was in his gown, then that would mean he was a new patient or a severely disturbed patient, and eyeballs should have been on him at all times. Not to mention the fact that he had bandages wrapped around his head, which should have been an immediate red flag. It really bothers me that it was so easy for him to get on the unit undetected. Aiden claims he found her sleeping in her room. Her attendant had stepped away to use the restroom since Nicole was sleeping, and Aiden appeared within that window. Nobody knows what happened in the room, but according to Aiden, she became startled when he woke her and went into a panicked rage. But she didn't attack him. She went after herself, bashing her head against the wall. He ran to the nurses' station for help. When they got back to her room, they found her lying on the floor of her room unconscious. Aiden said she must have knocked herself out. But what if she didn't? What if he went up there to intentionally hurt her, threaten her, keep her quiet, or something worse? That's what everyone has to be thinking. If they weren't pointing their fingers at him before, they should be now. The questions swirl around each other, fighting for space in my head. I've grown to like Aiden over the years, even love him like a brother. But I wasn't always on Team Aiden. Nicole met Aiden the summer after we graduated from college, when Nicole was doing a 6-week teacher training in Austin for developing a multicultural curriculum in low-income schools. I went straight to work after we graduated at a small law firm in Houston, so I stayed behind. It was the longest we'd ever been apart, and we made the joke that she'd probably find her husband while she was gone since I wouldn't be there to scare him away. She was convinced I just wanted her to be alone so I could have her all to myself. But that's never what it was about. None of the men Nicole chose were ever good enough for her. She always set her standards so low when it came to men, and had been doing it since we were kids. It wasn't like I didn't want her to be with somebody else, I just wanted to make sure she made a good choice. Aiden was in Austin for business at the same time, and she met him within days of arriving, at the coffee shop down the street from the house where she stayed during the training. We squeezed in phone calls whenever we could, and I listened to her prattle off stories about her new boyfriend without giving them much attention. Nicole doesn't know how to date. She never has. She's a serial monogamist. So when she said Aiden was the one, I never for 1 second believed that he might be, because she said the same thing about everyone she was in a relationship with. They were all the one until they weren't. She couldn't wait for me to meet him and arranged a get-together for us as soon as she got back to Houston. It's not like Aiden did anything wrong during our introductory dinner. Quite the opposite. He did everything right. He couldn't have been more of a perfect gentleman. They arrived before I did, and he rose from the table to greet me after Nicole pointed out who I was. He was just as handsome as she'd described, with his perfect smile, thick wavy hair, and muscular body from spending hours in the gym. He pulled my chair out for me and immediately called the server over to get me a drink. He listened attentively and asked questions that showed he cared. But there was something about him that didn't sit quite right with me, even though I couldn't put my finger on what. Nicole thought it was because he was rich. "But he's not rich. His family's rich," she said after she finally got me to admit that I wasn't his biggest fan, as if she didn't already know that's how I felt about him from our first meeting. "He broke away from the family business and went into business on his own. His family is huge, and they're super powerful where he's from. All he heard his entire life was how he was going to follow in his father's footsteps with the family business. That's all they ever told him he could be. Do you know what a risk that was? To step away from all of that? How brave he was to do something like that." It was one of the things she loved the most about him, and she shone with pride whenever she spoke about how he'd rejected the life of privilege he was raised in, and set off on his own to make it in the world with barely anything in his bank account. It's a great story. Except setting off on your own usually means starting from scratch and having to do lots of hustling to gain any kind of traction in the world. It doesn't mean having your first architectural company fully funded and bonded by an old family trust fund that you cashed out. But I let Nicole tell it that way because it was much more romantic, and all she'd ever wanted was to be swept off her feet by her Prince Charming. So, I let her have her story. And it wasn't long before he swept me off my feet, too. He courted me as much as he courted her, taking me along with them on so many of their dates. He figured out early on that it was more important to impress me than it was her. It wasn't so much the things he did for her, but the way he did them. He treated her with such kindness and delicacy, without her knowing that he was. There was respect in his tone whenever he spoke to her or about her. Whenever they were in a room together, his eyes adoringly followed her wherever she went. He anticipated her needs and did things without asking. I could see why she was smitten. When he was ready to get engaged, he took me out for lunch and asked permission to marry her, like I was her father and he was asking for her hand in marriage. We went to a small cafe outside Houston where I liked to have tea and unwind after a long day. He barely touched his turkey sandwich, and finally pushed it aside before turning all his attention on me. "Look, Crystal, I love your sister. More than anyone or anything else in the world, you have to know that by now." His eyes searched mine imploringly. "I hope after all these years you can see that I've never wavered in my love or my devotion to her. That's not changing." He paused to gather himself. I'd never seen him cry, but tears welled in his eyes, and watching him struggle not to cry made it impossible for me not to get choked up, too. "I want to marry Nicole and give her the best life. I want to make up for every awful and horrible thing that's ever happened to her. I don't want her to be sad for another day in her life if I have anything to say or do about it. So that's why I'm here." He took a deep breath and brought his hands to rest on the table. "I want our marriage to be perfect from the beginning, and it won't be perfect unless she knows you support us. When I ask her to marry me, I want to be able to tell her that I have your blessing." I gave it to him without a second thought, and I've never looked back. How could I have been so foolish? My thoughts are interrupted by Eric's call, jolting me back to the present moment. "What's going on, Crystal?" He doesn't waste any time. "Aiden got onto the unit tonight, and somehow Nicole ended up unconscious on the floor." Fury lines every word, and I can't get them out fast enough. "He claims that she did it to herself, but I'm not so sure. Their rooms don't have cameras, and the attendant that was supposed to be watching her had stepped away to use the restroom, so there's no way to know what really happened." "Are you serious? How did they even let something like that happen? I thought she was supposed to be under 24-hour surveillance." She is. I'm so mad I don't even know what to do." "Well, I can tell you what we're going to do. The first thing we're going to do is file an emergency order of protection to keep him away from her." I thought about that too, But don't we have to have solid proof that he's hurting her? Will this be enough? Probably not. But it might be enough when we include the other incident that I found out about tonight. I was going to call you whether you called me or not. There might be some truth to your suspicions about Aiden hurting Nicole in the weeks leading up to the fire. What do you mean? I ran a check through our system tonight, and the police were called to their house a few weeks before the fire. Are you serious? I fume, trying to keep calm so I can think straight. It was 12 days before the fire, and the report is definitely there. A neighbor called 911 after he heard them screaming and yelling. According to the statement Aiden gave police, Nicole and him had an argument over dinner about something trivial that worked itself up into a huge deal. He told them that she'd gotten upset and locked herself in their bedroom during their fight and refused to come out. Nicole was still in their bedroom when they arrived and refused to come downstairs. They couldn't leave until they saw her and were able to prove that she was okay. I'm sure you know that domestic violence calls require one of the parties to be taken away. But both Nicole and Aiden swore to the officers that there wasn't domestic violence. The police report said Nicole appeared agitated and jumpy. They suspected she was on drugs, which is why they'd left it alone, since nobody messes in Fisher family affairs. I can't believe this. I rub my temples. There's no way Aiden just forgot to mention the police were at their house. What else is he covering up? I'm going up to the hospital first thing in the morning and asking him about all this. You might not want to do that if he's dangerous, Eric cautions. I snort. I'm not afraid of him. If he comes after me or tries anything, I'll just smash him in his burned face. How could you? I scream. All the way down the hallway, I told myself I wasn't going to unload on Aiden. But seeing him in front of me makes me explode. His eyes flare with anger. How was I supposed to know she'd bash her head so hard on the wall that she'd knock herself out? Don't lie to me, I hiss through gritted teeth. You've been hurting her all along. He raises his arms in a peaceful gesture. What are you talking about? You know exactly what I'm talking about. How could you? After everything she's been through, Aiden, how could you? I don't know what you're talking about, Crystal. I don't. He shakes his head back and forth, eyes wild. I was afraid they wouldn't let me see her if I asked, and I had to see her. I wasn't taking a chance with anyone telling me no. He turns to the side and swings his legs over so he's sitting on the side of the bed. All that drama, and I didn't even get to talk to her. I put my hands on my hips and glare at him. You're not going anywhere near her for a long time. And I mean it. Eric is filing the emergency order of protection as we speak. I didn't do anything. She freaked out on me. You've seen her do it. He shrieks in protest. You know what she gets like. When were you going to tell me about the police coming to the house? You conveniently left that part out of the story when we talked yesterday. There's no missing his shocked expression, even with the bandages still covering his eyebrows. I meant to tell you about it. I really did. It's not like I left it out on purpose or was keeping it a secret. There's just so much going on. I didn't even think about it when we were talking about everything before. His eyes plead with mine for understanding. So, what happened? I don't believe him, not even for a second. But I want to hear what he'll say. One of our neighbors heard her screaming and they called 911. Believe me, I was going to call 911 myself if she didn't calm down. All I was thinking about when I was in front of her door was that if I couldn't get her to relax and come out of the room, then I was going to have to call the police. I was afraid about what she'd do to herself that night. Why didn't you break the door down? That's what I would have done. She was terrified, Crystal. Absolutely scared out of her mind. And you don't understand the level of fear that takes her over. You think she loses it now? You should see what she's like when there's nobody to restrain her or any drugs to calm her down. I didn't want to push her over the edge. What if I kicked through the door and she jumped out the window or did something even crazier? At least when she was ranting, I knew she was okay and wasn't hurting herself. What set her off? He raises his shoulders and shakes his head like he's still bewildered by it.
I have no idea. I was in the kitchen getting a beer, and she let out this blood-curdling scream. I dropped my beer on the floor, that's how much it shook me. I raced upstairs and pounded on the door, begging her to let me in, but of course she wouldn't. I kept banging and asking if she was okay, but all she wanted was for me to leave, to get away from the door. That's all she kept yelling every time I tried to say anything to her.
His voice softens as he gets further along in the story.
The only way I got her to tell me she was okay and wasn't going to do anything to hurt herself was to promise that I would leave her alone. So I pretended like I went down the stairs. But I sat on the landing the entire time and listened for the slightest sound signaling anything was wrong. I didn't know the police had been called until they banged on the front door. By then, she had finished carrying on.
What did they do when they got there?
They said they needed to do a welfare check on her and see whether or not she was okay. I gladly let them go upstairs and see if she was okay. Christ, I wanted them to check on her. One of the officers took me outside and stayed with me the entire time, while his partners spoke with Nicole. I still don't think he believed my story that there wasn't some kind of domestic violence going on, so they needed to see for themselves.
And it's the law, I interjected.
That too.
Aiden grins despite the seriousness of the situation.
They said they probably get a call at least every 2 weeks regarding a wife who has locked herself in a bedroom or bathroom during a fight with her husband and won't come out. One of the officers was even joking about it. He said wives freaking out and locking themselves up kept him employed.
I'm glad you're amused, but I'm not amused by any of this. I want to slap the smile off his face. Why didn't you let them know you needed help with her? Why didn't you tell them something was wrong? Anger flares in his eyes.
Haven't you been listening to anything I've said? I was in denial, Crystal.
He draws out the syllables in his words for dramatic effect.
I kept hoping that she'd snap out of it and it'd go away. Then we could go back to our regular lives and just pretend it never happened. That's all I wanted to do.
It's the only part of his story that might be true, because I know what it's like to bury terrible things. I'm good at shoving things down, too, and going on with life. After all, I've been doing it for over 20 years.
19. Nicole. Then. The air is electric, thick with the smell of blood. Crystal and I cling to each other while the paramedics go to work on Alice's body. I can't rip my gaze away. I know she's dead before they touch her. Know what the paramedic will say before he pronounces to his partner, "There's no heartbeat." He starts pounding on her chest like Mrs. Wheeler was still doing when they found us huddled outside the barn. The other one whips open the huge black bag he's carrying and starts pulling things out. Within seconds, he's sticking a tube down Alice's throat and puffing the bag that's attached to it while his partner pounds on her chest. They lift her body like she weighs nothing and place her on the red board. 2 more EMTs rush through the yard and hurry over to us. All the medical workers swarm her body, pushing us away like pesky barn flies. We stand on the outside of their circle, dazed. "Girls, come," Mrs. Wheeler orders, but we can't tear ourselves away. She grabs Crystal's arm and yanks her back. "Hurry." She looks over her shoulder, and I follow her gaze to 2 sheriffs coming through the yard. Crystal, Veronica, and I follow Mrs. Wheeler like we're in a trance as she ushers us into the barn and into the milk room. She shuts the steel door behind us. The round cylinder machines hum as they process and sort the milk. Mrs. Wheeler wrangles the 3 of us up against the wall like an army sergeant. She points to the door. "Look, we don't have much time. The police are out there and they're going to come looking for us any second and asking questions. We need to get a few things straight first. Veronica pushed her out of the barn," I blurt out. "I barely touched her, Mama, I swear. I didn't mean for her to get hurt," Veronica cries. Her eyes are red-rimmed from crying so hard. The front of her shirt is stained crimson with Alice's blood. Mrs. Wheeler smacks her across the face, shocking us all. "Don't you ever say that again, do you understand me?" Veronica raises her hand to her cheek, stunned. Tears well in her eyes. My insides shake. I grab Crystal's hand. Her palms are wet. Our hands stick together. Veronica is too shocked to say anything. Nobody on the wall moves. Mrs. Wheeler is inches from Veronica's face and speaks through gritted teeth. Alice fell during a game that you girls were playing and had a terrible accident. But Mama, Mrs. Wheeler raises her hand like she's going to smack her again, and Veronica snaps her mouth closed. My heartbeat explodes in my chest. The hum of the machine swirls inside me. Crystal looks like she's going to throw up. Farm accidents happen all the time. Nobody will think anything differently as long as everyone sticks to the story. She shifts her gaze to me and Crystal. My knees buckle, and I lean against the wall for support. Mrs. Wheeler's eyes bulge out of her head in a way I've never seen, but she's not mad. She's something else. Scarier. Everyone sticks to the story. You girls came up here to play and Alice tripped while she was running. That's how she fell. That's what happened. Are we clear? Crystal starts shaking her head. She tripped and fell all the way outside? Who does that? They're not going to believe that. Wouldn't she have stopped herself? We can't say that. They'll know we're lying. Veronica jumps in with her agreement. She's right. I'm telling you, that's not how it happened. Veronica's voice begs her to listen. They were playing that stupid game. I told them I didn't want to play. They made me. Veronica points a shaking finger at us. If only we... Mrs. Wheeler swoops in on her, gripping her jaw with one hand and squeezing in the same way Veronica grabbed Alice's throat before she threw her out of the barn. Veronica lets out a whimper. Honey, I'm going to tell you what happened one more time, and then we're going to go out there and talk to the officers who are waiting for you girls. Are we clear? Crystal shakes her head. It's not going to work. They'll know we're lying. We have to... Mrs. Wheeler drops Veronica and steps directly in front of Crystal, stopping her mid-sentence. They'll know what we tell them, and that's all we tell them. Do you understand me? Crystal gulps, nodding her consent. Alice was a chubby, clumsy girl who'd never been on a farm before in her life. It makes perfect sense that she would be jumping around in the hayloft like an idiot. No one will dispute that. The four of you were having lots of fun during your sleepover and playing games in the barn when... What games? Do we tell them truth or dare or something else? I interrupt. I have to know the details in our lie if I'm going to be believable. Mrs. Wheeler's forehead aligns with annoyance, but before she can speak, there's a knock at the door. Ma'am, are you in there with the girls? This is the Lafayette County Police. Mrs. Wheeler, Crystal, and I are on our knees, furiously scrubbing Alice's blood from the ground. We work without speaking. Veronica's inside taking a shower. She wanted to stay and help clean, but Mrs. Wheeler made her go. Bleach burns my nose. The sound of the bristles against the concrete is punctuated by sniffles and hiccuping sobs from me and Crystal. But we have a job to do. We've got to get the blood off the floor. The harder we scrub, the bigger the circle grows, but we don't stop. Alice is dead. And Veronica killed her. The same two thoughts run through my head, stuck on repeat. The medical examiner and coroner worked on Alice for almost an hour before they packaged her up and put her in the back of the ambulance. The four of us stood underneath the moonlight in our gravel driveway as the EMTs shut the double doors and latched them tightly. They moved slow. All their frantic movements from before were gone. Nobody got in the back of the ambulance with her, because she wasn't there anymore. Only her body. And they weren't taking her to the hospital. She was going to the morgue. Mrs. Wheeler hasn't said anything since Veronica went inside. Is it creepy in the house by herself? What if Alice haunts the farm? That's what I'd do if someone killed me over a stupid game. Mrs. Wheeler hasn't shed a tear, not this whole time. She didn't react at all when the coroner officially pronounced her dead. Even one of the EMTs had tears in his eyes. She's a kid. Kids aren't supposed to die. All of it felt like a dream until they brought out the white sheet and covered her body. "Tonight isn't the last time you'll have to talk to the police about what happened," Mrs. Wheeler says, without looking up or making eye contact with us. "They'll be back in the morning after they've spoken with Alice's parents, and they'll have more questions for you girls." The officer asked Mrs. Wheeler if she wanted to call Alice's parents and give them the news about the accident, since that's what we're calling it, even though Veronica shoved her on purpose. But Mrs. Wheeler opted out. She made them do it, which seems like being a bit of a chicken, but I wouldn't want to tell her parents either. She's their only kid. Their entire world. It makes me start crying again just thinking about what they're going through. "We need to get clear about a few things just in case one of you decides to change your mind and tell the officers a cockeyed story about Veronica being responsible for tonight. You need to know what would happen next. First, I'll tell them that the two of you shoved Alice out of the barn and I saw you do it. I'll explain that I lied about it because you threatened to hurt Veronica too. Take a moment to think about who they'd believe. A well-respected member of the community or two white trash girls whose parents don't even want them." She pauses, making sure her threat has a chance to sink in. "Also, if I even get the slightest hint that anything like that might be happening, I'll call your social worker so fast it'll make your head spin. I'll let them know that it's not working out for you here anymore and that I think it's best if they placed you in separate homes." Her threats are a death sentence. We can't ever tell, because there's no way we can live without each other. 20. Nicole. Then. I choke on the smell of burning flesh. Flames engulf dismembered hands, arms, legs. Black smoke covers blank faces. My eyes blister. I can't see her, but she's coming for me. I'm next. My eyes snap open. "Crystal!" I scream from my guts. There's water between my legs. My shirt clings to me. I can't move. I'm frozen to the bed. There's another scream stuck in my throat, but it won't come out. And then Crystal's voice whispers softly in my ear while she strokes my hair. "I'm here. You're okay. It's just a dream. You're waking up." But it's not a dream. It's a nightmare and it's real. There's no escape, no relief. Alice is dead, and I'm trapped in a house full of murdering liars, and I'm one of them. I might as well have shoved her out of the hayloft myself. We never should have snuck out, and we never should have let them come with us. What were we thinking? How could we have been so stupid? Crystal says we can't ask questions like that, or the guilt will eat away at us until it destroys us. She says we have to keep moving, just putting one foot in front of the other, that eventually time will pass and it won't be so hard. Easy for her to say, when she wasn't the one holding Alice when she took her last breath. She didn't have to watch the light leave her eyes or see her spirit leave her body and travel into the rafters. She didn't witness Mrs. Wheeler fling Alice off her when the paramedics arrived because she knew she was holding a carcass. Every time I close my eyes and try to sleep, my brain takes me to hell. Literal hell. Even though I've never stepped foot in a church because I don't believe in God. At least I didn't. That's why I know it's real. There is a lake of fire in my dreams and all these different people burning there. But that's not the worst part. It's the weeping and the wailing coming from their mouths as they scream for help, and I can do nothing to save them. Sometimes I wake up there, but other times I don't. That's when Alice crawls out of the fiery water and comes after me. Her face is always burning, and her mouth gapes open like there's a silent scream stuck inside. She chases me around the lake while I scream. No matter how I wake up, I'm always screaming at the top of my lungs. It's been that way since the night it happened. 4 days and no changes. Crystal sleeps with me, but it doesn't help. She can't keep the evil away. I wish that it did, but nothing's strong enough for the evil that's taken over this house. The funeral is this morning, and Mrs. Wheeler is forcing us to go. She bought us all dresses, brand new from Sears, because you can't find 4 black funeral dresses at Goodwill on such short notice. At least, that's what she said, but she knows all eyes will be on us, and she wants us to look our best. She might be able to lie without a tell, but I've studied how she works for years. The police keep trying to talk to us, but I can't talk about it. So far, there are 2 officers, a nice one and a mean one. I like the nice one. He's chubby and balding and shows me pictures of his twin baby boys. But he's supposed to make me like him. He's the good cop. His partner drills me with questions, never cracking a smile. Obviously, the bad one.
How close were you and Alice? What did the 3 of you talk about on the way home from school? Was this your first sleepover?
I can answer their questions right up until they get to the sneaking out part. That's when I break. I start crying and can't stop. The harder I try to stop, the harder I cry. Then I can't even say her name. Veronica barely speaks. She's locked herself in her room and hardly comes out. I've only seen her twice in 4 days. Mrs. Wheeler pretends not to notice, just like she pretends none of this is happening. She just carries her food to her on trays like she has the flu and leaves it outside her door. Crystal is keeping things running. I don't know what I'd do without her. She's my rock. She's covering all my chores without complaining because I can't function. All the lights been turned off in my world. I'm falling into a bottomless pit, swirling into soundless oblivion.
21. Crystal. I race through the hospital corridors, continually scanning for Aiden. He never said anything about visiting Nicole again when I confronted him this morning, and I don't know how we're going to stop him from seeing her before the emergency order for protection goes through. Thankfully, Janice gave me a heads up.
Aiden determined to see Nicole today. Can't stop him. He's headed your way. Don't think it's a good idea, ...
Totally understand. We'll try to catch him before he gets here. I spot Aiden just as he's coming through the emergency room reception area. He's impossible to miss in his hospital gown, with his head covered in thick bandages, but nobody stops him as he moves through the sliding glass doors and into the valet parking garage. He walks like a man on a mission, and I hurry to catch him. I grab his unbandaged arm tenderly so I don't hurt him. He quickly jerks it away and keeps walking. I don't think this is a good idea, Aiden. She was really upset last night, and I think you should give her some time, I say, adding silently, enough time for the emergency order to get signed.
I don't care what you or anyone else thinks. She's my wife, and I have a right to see her,
he says without turning around. I grab his bicep and pull him backward. Slow down. She's not going anywhere, and you're going to cross over into the cardio zone pretty quickly, which probably isn't the best idea, seeing as you just got off a ventilator. He's already breathing hard. He slows his steps, and I jump at the opportunity to make him take it down another notch, while my brain scrambles to come up with a plan to stop him. She's probably not through with dinner yet, and they won't let you in the community room to see anyone until after dinner is cleared. Visitors aren't allowed in there during mealtimes. He finally turns to look at me.
Really?
Really, I say, forcing myself to maintain eye contact. Dinner was cleared over 30 minutes ago. Look, Aiden, I get how badly you want to see her, but are you sure it's the best idea? He pulls himself away from me again.
Stop it, Crystal. You'd never let me talk you out of seeing her if she was in bad shape, so don't even try talking me out of it,
he says like the matter is settled. If I can't stop him from seeing her, then at least I can be with him to minimize the damage and make sure he's not alone with her. Maybe that's all I can do for now. I drop my arms to my sides and fall in step beside him. Our feet smack against the sidewalk together in staccato beats. His breath comes in short, wheezing gasps. I cross my fingers, hoping he'll pass out before we get there. But it isn't long before Riverside East looms in front of us, and he quickens his pace. He enters the building and heads straight to the elevators, wasting no time checking into the main reception area. The elevator is on call, and we squeeze in just as the doors are about to close. A woman's phone buzzes with a call that she refuses to decline, and someone is sweating out booze from the night before. We're the first to get off. Aiden makes a beeline for the nurse's desk. 2 of the nurses are engaged in a conversation. They're animated and it looks serious, but he doesn't wait for a natural break in their conversation before interrupting them.
Excuse me.
Their conversation continues, neither looks at him.
Excuse me,
He says even louder. I tug on his arm, but it does no good.
Can I see the visitor log? I'd like to sign in.
He doesn't pretend not to be irritated. Who are you here to see? The one with the pencil bun in her hair finally turns to look at him, annoyance written on all her features. She's not the least bit surprised by his appearance, which strikes me as odd, but then again, maybe they've seen everything on the unit, so nothing surprises them anymore.
Nicole Fisher.
Are you on her visitor list?
I'm her husband.
Okay, well, let me check to see if you're on her visitor list. She busies herself typing into the computer. Aiden taps impatiently on the desk with his unbandaged hand. Her forehead crinkles. What did you say your name was?
Aiden Fisher. My wife is Nicole Fisher.
I'm sorry, Aiden, but it doesn't look like you're on her list of visitors.
How can that be?
I'm not sure. She shrugs, clearly not interested in giving him any favors after the way he approached her. You'll have to speak with her doctor about that. Do you know which doctor has been assigned to her case?
Of course I know who her doctor is. What part of I'm her husband don't you understand?
He snaps in a condescending and arrogant tone that I've never heard him use, but immediately recognize as the one Nicole swears he uses in all their fights. Maybe we should just come back later, I say, trying to sound sympathetic, but I'm secretly glad they're turning him away. He ignores me.
Call Dr. McGowan. I want to speak with him immediately.
Dr. McGowan is in a meeting right now. I can take your number and have him call you. Aiden's irritation radiates off him.
Look, I'm her husband and get away from her!
Nicole's scream comes out of nowhere. Our heads swivel to where Nicole is squared up in the middle of the hallway behind the nurse's station. She must have spotted us on her way to get her medication, or maybe she heard Aiden's loud voice from her seat in the community room. Before anyone has a chance to react, she races to the nurse's station and rounds the desk. I try to grab her as she hurls herself at Aiden, but I can't.
What did you do with my husband?
Nicole screams as she starts beating her fists on Aiden's chest.
Give him back to me! Give him back to me!
He tries to grab her wrists and stop her assault, but his wounded hands are useless against her. He grimaces in pain as she attacks him, smacking every part of his body she can connect with, while he lets out wounded cries. I grab her and try to pull them apart, but she has superhuman strength now and flings me off her like it's nothing. The security team appears like magic, and Nicole senses their presence immediately. She shoves Aiden back and stands in front of him. Her fists are clenched at her sides, her face beet red.
If you come near my sister again, I'll kill you, you son of a bitch, do you hear me?
Her eyes grow to hostile slits.
And this time I'll make sure you die.
Dr. McGowan, Mr. Barnes, and I are gathered in the room where we met when they gave me the news about Nicole. Except this time Detective Sparks isn't standing in the corner, and Aiden is pacing the room instead. Detective Sparks's meeting with them happens later so that our meeting stays private. Eric advised against Detective Sparks being here because he's adamant about keeping a distinct line between Nicole's medical issues and her legal ones. Dr. McGowan sits next to Dr. Barnes on the other side of the table like they did before, so I sit in the same spot too. I place my iPhone on the table face up. Eric's face fills the screen. He has to be in court in an hour, so there was no way he'd make it back to the city in time if he were here in person. Nobody acted surprised when I told them I'd retained legal counsel on Nicole's behalf, not even Aiden.
We've gone through an extensive amount of diagnostic testing and ruled out many differential diagnoses in regard to Nicole's health. As you know, it's taken us a while to arrive at a diagnosis we're comfortable with, but we finally have it, and that's what we'd like to talk about today.
Dr. McGowan opens the meeting with a declaration of purpose. I'm taken aback, and it takes me a few seconds to recover because I assumed we were meeting to discuss the incidents that happened between Aiden and Nicole in the last 24 hours. But this is the day I've been waiting for since Nicole was admitted. Her files are piled high on the table. Her diagnostic testing reports are splayed out next to them. Both doctors have their laptops open.
Nicole is suffering from Capgras syndrome.
He says it like it's 2 words. Grass.
It's a delusional misidentification syndrome where the patient believes a loved one or familiar person has been taken over by an imposter. Most of the time when we see this disorder, it's in patients who are suffering from Parkinson's or Lewy body dementia. Dr. Bernstein has completed her full neurological exam, and both those illnesses have been ruled out. It's very uncommon to see the disorder manifesting by itself in the way we're seeing it with Nicole. We believe her disorder is rooted in psychodynamic conflicts because there aren't any neurological diseases to explain her psychosis. But you said she doesn't have Parkinson's or dementia, so I'm confused.
Aiden stops his pacing to focus all his attention on Dr. McGowan. He hasn't sat down since we walked in the room. He's sweating profusely. His hospital gown clings to his chest.
She doesn't have the neurological disorders typically associated with Capgras syndrome. She's in one of the rare patient groups where the cause is psychological rather than organic.
How do you treat it? I ask. That's really what I want to know. Please tell me you can fix her, I beg silently.
Usually a person with Capgras syndrome develops it as a defense mechanism to protect themselves or someone they love against information that might hurt them or their relationship in some way. You have to get to the root of what they're defending against in order to resolve it.
This is the end of disc number 4. Please insert disc number 5. This is disc number 5.
That doesn't make any sense.
Aiden looks annoyed by the psychological underpinnings of his explanation, like he is with anything in the therapy realm. It usually annoys me, but not this time, since it sounds like mumbo-jumbo to me, too.
Perhaps an example will help,
Dr. McGowan says, sounding every part the college professor, but I don't mind.
One of the famous cases comes from a mother who lost 3 of her 4 children in a car accident. Afterward, she was convinced that her dead children had been abducted, and she organized search parties for them. She filed numerous missing person reports about it with the police department. In addition, she also believed that her surviving child had been replaced by someone else, a child who looked and acted like her daughter, but who was really an imposter. She came under the care of the courts for refusing to provide proper care for her daughter. She created the delusion that her children were kidnapped because it provided the possibility of them still being alive and in the world somewhere, rather than facing the debilitating loss of their deaths. Once she acknowledged her denial and worked through the grief, the delusion about her surviving child disappeared too. That's what we need to do? Figure out what freaked her out?
Aiden's speech is pressurized.
How are we supposed to do that?
Mr. McGowan's calm despite Aiden's agitated state is impressive, but then I remember he's had years of practice.
I wish it were that simple, but it's not. Separating the truth from the psychosis is the most difficult part. Sometimes it proves to be impossible. Then she's just stuck? Aiden asks. No, there are many things that we can do now that we have a diagnosis. It's going to allow us to properly define a course of treatment, and the first thing we're doing is taking her off all antipsychotic medication.
What? I cut him off. He's spent endless hours harping on me about her medication and addressing all my concerns about it. He assured me the other day that they'd finally gotten it right. Red creeps up his neck because he's embarrassed to eat his words, but he maintains his gaze on me.
It seems contradictory given the conversations we've had about how important the medication is for her recovery and stabilization. But that was before we put all the pieces together. Normally, these medications work very well with psychosis, and they're the gold standard treatment. But they're not nearly as effective in patients with Capgras syndrome. In fact, they can oftentimes exacerbate the symptoms and make things worse.
So we've been making her crazier than she already is? I blurt without thinking. Dr. McGowan goes to speak, but Mr. Barnes puts his hand on his arm to stop him. Eric might not be in the room, but his presence on the phone is enough for Mr. Barnes to worry about Dr. McGowan or anyone else inadvertently admitting guilt or responsibility for anything having to do with Nicole's condition.
Patients' medication is changed according to their diagnostic needs. Nicole's diagnosis no longer warrants the continued use of antipsychotics.
Mr. Barnes states the hospital's position clearly, but lawsuits against the hospital are the least of my concerns.
How long does it last?
Aiden asks. I wish he'd sit. His agitation only increases mine. Mr. Barnes shifts his gaze to Dr. McGowan and gives him a brief nod, like he's granting him permission to speak.
It can last anywhere from a couple days to years,
Dr. McGowan answers. Years? I ask, stunned.
How's she ever going to change when I look like this?
Aiden points to his face and makes a circular motion.
They're taking all of this off tomorrow, and I'm going to look like a monster. She already thinks I'm one, and now I'm going to look like one, too.
His hysteria rises.
She's going to think I really am gone. It's not just going to be in her head.
Dr. McGowan nods in agreement.
That will make things difficult.
Aiden wrestles back tears, and despite everything that's happened, part of me can't help but feel sorry for him. What if he's telling the truth about what happened? If Nicole really believed he was an imposter, she would have done anything to save herself from him, especially if she thought he'd taken her husband away. It sounds far-fetched, but if what they're saying is true, it's entirely possible. Mr. Barnes shifts in his seat, clearly uncomfortable with the intensity of emotions. He clears his throat.
Well, the silver lining in all of this is that she's unlikely to do jail time. Her diagnosis will certainly impact the charges filed against her, given her mental illness. Most likely they'll transfer her to a correctional psychiatric facility soon until they've deemed her fit to return to society. Oh, I'm not pressing charges.
Aiden interjects before he can go any further.
Whether or not you want to file charges is irrelevant. The state lodged attempted murder and arson charges against her this afternoon.
Mr. Barnes says. The floor vanishes underneath me. My stomach drops. Eric's voice leaps to attention on my phone and comes through crystal clear.
Formal charges have been filed? Yes, the family was very insistent that charges be brought against Nicole.
Mr. Barnes rubs his chin and refuses to look at the phone. I'm too stunned to speak. Part of me has been holding on to hope that charges wouldn't be filed against her. That once she got better, we could go on with our lives, and eventually it would all seem like a bad dream. But Mr. Barnes's words have just stripped that hope away. Aiden slaps his hands on the table, startling us all.
My family? Are you saying my family was the one pushing for charges? Your father has been placing multiple calls to the district attorney's office every day since the fire.
Mr. Barnes says, looking almost as displeased about it as Aiden.
Damn it!
Aiden yells as he shoves a chair and sends it flying into the table. I grab his arm to tug him down onto the seat, but he steps away. He clenches his fists like he's looking for something to hit.
I told them not to. My mom has always hated Nicole, but I made her swear to stay out of this. How could she do that?
Because she was determined to make someone pay for hurting her son. Doesn't he get that? People like the Fishers don't do well when you mess with their lives, and I never should have underestimated them.
22. Nicole. Then. We should have just gone home after the funeral. Why did we have to come here? We trail behind Mrs. Wheeler and Veronica into the Greers' house. Most of the town is crammed in their house, even though they've only lived here for a couple months. Nobody's had a chance to really get to know them yet, but everyone's pretending like they're super close. Our town loves a good tragedy, and it's been a long time since we've had one, so nobody's missing a minute of this. The screened-in porch entrance leads right into the living room. The bathroom and a small galley kitchen are to the right side. Their small house is packed to overflowing. Crystal and I have been glued together all day, and she stiffens next to me when she spots Whitney and her friends crowding around the fireplace in the living room. Whitney never even said hello to Alice the entire time she was at school. None of them did. But their eyes are all red and watery, and they're all holding tissue like they're not sure how they'll go on living without her. We take a sharp turn to avoid them and plunge into the crowds in the dining room. Groups of people are huddled together, speaking in hushed whispers with their heads down. Nobody's eyes rise to meet us, and I breathe a sigh of relief that we might go unnoticed. I find us a spot on 2 of the folding chairs set up in the corner. "How long do you think she'll make us stay?" I whisper, taking in the dining room. Alice described this room, and it's exactly like she said, gleaming with order and sterility. The sliding glass doors open onto a small wooden deck overlooking the backyard, which is perfectly manicured except for the lonely swing set in the center. She talked about that, too. Said her parents were so out of touch with her that they'd gotten her a new swing set when they moved in, even though she was way too old for one. The dining room chairs are precisely spaced along the table, and there is not a plant, book, or personal effect in sight. There is no sign of life whatsoever. She said it was like living in a postcard. She wasn't wrong. Is this what it's going to be like now? Every day filled with the spirit of someone who I knew for less than 8 hours? I did the math last night while I lay there in bed, not sleeping after my nightmares woke me up. 8 hours. That's how long she lasted on the farm. I hear her screams as she plummeted out of the barn in the same way Crystal says she hears the pigs. I never understood what she meant all these years. Now I do. It's not just her screams. I see the blood pooled around her head and hear the way it gurgled as it came out of her mouth at the end. Nothing I tell myself or anything I do keeps the images away. They're burned into my brain forever. Crystal peeked at her in the coffin. She said she didn't want the picture of her lying dead on the concrete to be the last one she had of her, but I couldn't bring myself to look. Crystal told me they had her painted up with so much makeup that she barely looked like herself. Mrs. Wheeler and Veronica paused behind us to pay their last respects, or whatever it is you're supposed to do at open casket funerals, but I rushed Crystal along. We kept our heads down as we walked past Alice's mom and dad in the procession line, too. They were too grief-stricken to recognize anyone. And I was glad. Not because I wanted them to be so sad, but I can't have a conversation with them about Alice. I just can't. I'm afraid if I open my mouth, the truth will come gushing out, and once it does, I won't be able to stop. I don't know what Mrs. Wheeler will do if that happens. Would she really send one of us away? She hasn't said anything to us about it since it happened. Not a word. She whistled while she made breakfast this morning like we weren't going to the funeral of the girl who died on our farm. I always thought Veronica was the one I needed to be scared of. But maybe I've had it wrong all along.
23. Crystal. Eric stands to greet me when I walk into the Belmont Police Station reception area. He's in perfectly pressed pants with a collared shirt and matching tie, like he just stepped out of a GQ magazine. Flashbacks to my Goodwill clothes pass through me, and I'm instantly self-conscious but quickly remind myself that I'm wearing a Milano blouse.
Can I get you anything?
No, thanks, I'm good, I say, tucking my shirt into the back of my pants and straightening the front of it. How was traffic?
It was decent, not too bad,
he says, reclaiming his seat.
I let the receptionist know we're here.
The receptionist is protected behind a plexiglass window, even though Belmont has the lowest crime rate in Goodhue County. Her head is bent as she scrolls through her phone. He starts going on about the weather, but all I can do is think about how different Nicole was this morning. The shift in her was noticeable and dramatic from the moment I walked into the community room. Her body wasn't hanging on her like a deflated balloon. She'd been filled with air again, and it showed in the way she held her head up. Not like she was completely upright or anything, but her shoulders weren't hunched over like she was carrying a backpack filled with rocks anymore. Our visit was short, because in addition to being off her medication, she's also going to start all the programming and therapy on the unit. It's going to be the best thing for her to have some structure and routine. Most importantly, it will keep her safe from Aiden, since the judge denied the order of protection last night on the grounds that there wasn't enough evidence that he posed an imminent threat. Maybe he's right. I'm so conflicted about Aiden. Yesterday's meeting changed everything. Between her new diagnosis and the charges filed against her, I'm at a total loss. I have no idea what to do now or which direction to go. Do I put my focus on finding out what really happened that night or on keeping her out of jail? I just want to bring her home with me, because sending her to a forensic psychiatric unit sounds even worse than jail. The door opens beside Eric and me, bringing us to our feet again. Detective Sparks holds the door wide.
Good afternoon,
he says, giving us a tired smile like the one I gave Eric when I arrived.
Let's head this way and get started.
The stubble on his chin has grown into a small beard, and there are bags underneath his eyes that weren't there the last time I saw him. He's been in the trenches too. He must have other cases going on besides Nicole's. Gratitude washes over me that I chose family law rather than criminal, because I couldn't do what he does every day. There's no way I could live like this. We follow him in silence to an office a few doors down the hallway. He opens the door, revealing a small interview room with 3 chairs and a cheap desk.
Take a seat where you're comfortable,
Detective Sparks instructs, as if there are multiple options. He grabs the only wheeled office chair in the room and leaves Eric and me with the beat-up aluminum ones. There aren't any windows, and claustrophobia engulfs me as we seal ourselves into the tiny space. We're cut off from the rest of the world underneath the harsh fluorescent lighting that only draws attention to the grimy yellow walls in desperate need of a fresh paint job. There's nothing hanging on the walls to soothe us. A no smoking sign posted on the back of the door is the only visual distraction. It's probably been there since the 80s. Detective Sparks sits against the wall facing the door, which means I have to sit with my back to the door, and the thought of it makes my stomach churn. I quickly reposition a chair to have a sideways view of the door while Eric takes a seat on the other one.
I'm glad both of you could join me this morning, and I know your time is precious, so why don't we just get started with things?
Detective Sparks begins as he flips open a file on his desk.
We've been able to review all the footage from the police officer's body camera the night of the fire.
He skips right over the fact that attempted murder and felony arson charges have been filed against Nicole. He reads aloud,
Suspect was singing Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead from The Wizard of Oz.
He places his hands on top of the report and looks at me.
Are you familiar with that song?
I'm not sure how to respond. Thankfully, I don't have to because Eric responds for me.
I'm fairly certain most people in this country are familiar with those lyrics.
Detective Sparks doesn't shift his eyes from me.
Yes, of course, but I'm wondering, Crystal.
He pauses, giving me a long, pointed stare.
Whether or not the song is significant to Nicole in some way. Are you aware of any special meaning the song might have?
I shake my head, keep my expression neutral. Detective Sparks tilts his head while he skims the report, like he's mulling something over. I gulp, wiping my sweaty palms on my pants. He waits way too long before he speaks again, doing his best to make sure we're uncomfortable. I'm crawling out of my skin, but Eric's perfectly relaxed.
I noticed that the judge denied your emergency order of protection.
He says it like he's trying to shock us with the information, but it's no surprise that he knows about the request. Eric doesn't falter.
Yes, and it's unfortunate because we believe Aiden poses a significant threat to Nicole's safety and well-being. Funny, Aiden's family feels the same way about Nicole.
Detective Sparks responds.
With all due respect, there's some pretty strong evidence that she had every reason to be afraid of Aiden. Even though she told the police she was fine when they showed up to do a welfare check a few weeks ago, you and I both know that domestic violence victims lie to protect their abusers. It takes them a long time to stop. And please, let's not forget that she ended up unconscious 2 nights ago after he'd been in her room.
I've never been so grateful for Eric, as he speaks with total confidence against Detective Sparks' implications about Nicole.
It's pretty telling that anytime somebody gets hurt, they're the only 2 people in the room, and only one of them can ever talk about it. I'm interested to hear Nicole's side of the story once she's stabilized on her medication, and more coherent.
I wish I could high-five him. Instead, I give him a knowing smile, but he's not focused on me anyway. His eyes are on Detective Sparks. Detective Sparks shrugs like the information means nothing to him.
Maybe. Except Nicole's the only one in the pair that has a pretty big reason to want to hurt the other party. Besides being a possible domestic violence victim?
Eric looks miffed.
Let me put it this way. Nicole's the only one who has a motive we can prove,
Detective Sparks says.
Meaning?
Eric cocks his head to the side. I lean forward in my seat, hanging on his every word despite myself. He's got us exactly where he wants us.
Jealousy,
Detective Sparks replies matter-of-factly. What are you talking about? I ask, unable to hold myself back anymore. Detective Sparks turns to me.
You didn't know Aiden was a playboy?
A playboy? I hold back the urge to laugh. That's what he's got? Who even says that anymore? I don't wait for a response before continuing. But yes, I know that Aiden used to get around. He had lots of girlfriends, and none of them were happy when he settled down to get married. He told Nicole all about it. Aiden fooled around a lot when he was younger, but Nicole didn't care about his number. That was before her. She didn't care about the women he'd been with any more than he did about the men in her past, even though her number could fit on one hand.
I'm not talking about when he was younger. I'm talking about now.
His words drop like lead in my gut. What do you mean, now?
Exactly what now implies, present tense.
Detective Sparks says. How do you know for sure? What's going on? People say all sorts of things in small towns, and rumors spread like a pandemic. The juicier the better.
For starters, his company paid out 3 different sexual harassment suits filed against him over the last 12 years.
There's no mistaking the judgment in his voice. All the air feels like it's leaving my lungs. Aiden's been married to Nicole for every one of those years. The world tilts like I might fall off.
Against him specifically or his company?
Eric asks.
He's the person named in the suit. They paid all 3 women off, and the settlement details are locked up in non-disclosure agreements. But it happened.
As an afterthought to me, he adds,
I'm sorry.
I struggle to make sense of what he's telling me. It's the last thing I want to be true. My feelings tumble over each other. How could Aiden do that to her? She trusted him. They built a life together. He promised to never hurt her.
There's a lot more than that, though.
He gives me a second to prepare for what's coming next, but I'm not sure I can handle more news.
There's a pretty standard don't ask, don't tell policy in place at his office and with his colleagues about his ongoing relationships with other women.
My heart pounds inside my chest. Is this how Nicole felt? There's a swirling abyss underneath my feet threatening to suck me in. I focus on my breathing.
Are you okay?
Detective Sparks asks. I am, I manage to squeak out. Yes, I'm okay. I didn't have any idea.
Do you think Nicole knew?
I can't imagine that she knew and didn't tell me, because her pain would be impossible to contain or hide. But I do think she found out. Because the only thing I want to do right now is set everything on fire that he's ever touched.
24. Nicole. Then. I told Crystal the police were going to separate us, but she tried convincing me they'd interview us together. That's what she wanted to believe, but there was no way that was happening. There's nobody in the room with me besides the detective. It's just me and him, Detective Carl Woods. But he's Jonah's dad to me. Jonah's one of the best artists at school, and his dad always shows up at the school days in advance to help him set up for the art fair. He looks like a totally average dad then in his jeans and t-shirt, but I've never seen him like this. He's wearing dress pants and a suit jacket like he came from church or somewhere else important. He's over 6 feet, but he's got that weird stoop people get when they're ashamed of being tall, so they're always trying to shrink themselves. He's wearing a black turtleneck underneath his gray suit. Makes no sense to me since it's over 80 degrees outside. I broke a sweat coming in from the truck, but Mrs. Wheeler refused to come inside. She's parked in the shade at the very back of the parking lot, with all the windows down. Crystal and I walked into the police station together, and they separated us right away. I don't know why they bothered. It's not like we haven't been together 24/7 since the accident happened and had plenty of time to get our story straight. I've slipped into calling it an accident. I didn't mean to. Not even a little. But that's what everyone around me calls it. Nobody's going around the house calling it what it was, murder. Except Crystal says it's not that either. She says murder is intentional, and there's no way Veronica intended to kill Alice when she shoved her. Maybe she didn't mean to kill her, but she definitely intended to hurt her. Just so happens, she hurt her enough to kill her. There's accidental murder, too. That's what they should charge her with. But they aren't going to charge her with anything. Not if Mrs. Wheeler has anything to say about it, and she's running the show. She made sure her and Veronica met with Detective Carl before we did. She took the entire day off yesterday and put me and Crystal in charge of the farm so that she could be with Veronica during her interview with him. Who knows what she said about us? That's what makes me so nervous. She thinks we're too naive to see what she's doing, but I know exactly what she's up to. She's setting things up for us to take the fall for this if the police start getting suspicious about anything. Detective Carl is taking forever to get started. He's been rummaging through his top drawer for over 2 minutes. I've been watching the clock. He might be doing this on purpose. Isn't there supposed to be a parent with me? And then I remember, like I've been doing since I was 7, I don't have a parent. Not a real one, anyway. Not one that cares about you or shows up for you at important things like this. That hasn't stopped me from wanting to get a hold of my mom, though. I've been begging Crystal to call her and see if she'll let us come stay with her, because I have to get out of here. Any place is better than this. Please, Crystal, can we call my mom? I can't take this. I tried again yesterday, while we were gathering the eggs, and Veronica and Mrs. Wheeler were at the police station. It would have been the perfect time to sneak onto the phone and call her. We're not allowed to use the phone without Mrs. Wheeler's permission, and she has a special code to dial out, but we guessed it years ago. We could have called her and been gone before they got home. Let's go stay with her. At least we'll have a roof over our heads and we won't be on the streets. She gave me a pointed look. We might be safer on the streets. You don't know that. She might have stopped. I defended her even though she doesn't deserve it. A few years ago, Crystal broke the news to me that my mom was a prostitute. She figured it out when we were younger, but never told me because she didn't want to hurt my feelings. But she didn't have any choice when my mom started coming around again in 7th grade. I'd never questioned why I had so many uncles, but once Crystal pointed things out, everything became clear. Like when I found out what really happened to the pigs. All the clues were there. How I hadn't been allowed to answer the phone, and all the strange messages men had left on the answering machine, asking if different women were available for the night. Nobody ever came around during the day, and when they came calling at night, they called her different names. Candy, Ginger, or Jasmine. I was a kid, so I thought she was playing a weird grown-up game that I didn't know anything about. Things didn't end well with my mom that summer. Even though Crystal knew what she did and gave me the heads up, neither of us imagined that the only reason my mom had come back around was because I was old enough for the family business. I had to knee one of my uncles in the balls and jab him in the ribcage because he wouldn't take no for an answer. That was my last visit. I haven't seen her since. Crystal shook her head. I'm not going from one bad situation into one that's worse. She's always so smart. Sometimes I wish she wasn't.
How have you been handling all this?
Detective Carl asks, jarring me into the current nightmare. How am I supposed to answer that? If I say good, then I look like a heartless person, but if I say bad, then he'll ask me more questions I don't want to answer. I settle on saying nothing and give him a nervous shrug, because I don't know what else to do. I might throw up. What if I throw up? I quickly scan the room and spot his trash can next to the bookshelf. That's where I'll go if I puke. I can make it.
I'm sorry for your loss,
he says, like the officer who separated Crystal and me said too. He has the same concerned expression. It's such a strange thing to say because I barely knew Alice, but I've lost everything. Does he know that? Everything from my life before is gone, dropped out from underneath me. I'm floating. There's no ground.
I know this has got to be uncomfortable, so I want to make it as painless as possible for you. Anytime a child dies, there's an automatic investigation, even if we know it was from natural causes or an accident. We have to do this even if a child dies from cancer, so I just want you to know this is totally normal and you haven't done anything wrong. It's standard protocol.
He leans forward in his chair with his hands on the desk, trying to ease my nervousness. You're a liar, a female voice interrupts him. Is she talking to me? To him? I scan the room, looking for the source of the voice. There's nobody but us. Maybe it was someone being questioned in the room next to us. These walls must be really thin. What if they can hear our conversation too? I know you hear me. Dread twists my guts and works its way through my veins. Detective Carl keeps talking, but his sound is turned off. The hair on my arms bristles. A chill runs down my spine. I can't see her, but she's in this room. She's come out of the lake of fire just like I told Crystal she would. My pulse pounds in my chest.
Honey, are you okay?
Detective Carl asks. His voice is so kind that the truth almost comes tumbling out of me. I clear my throat. There's no phlegm. Just fingers pressing against my windpipe. I can't blame her for being mad. I'd be mad too. I'm okay. It comes out strangled, deep, not like me. He opens up his desk and pulls out a Diet Coke. He's probably got a bottle of whiskey in there too, but he can't give me that. He opens the can and slides it across the desk. I take a sip and clutch it on my lap, grateful to have something in my hands. You saw what she did to me. This time there's no mistaking she's speaking to me or who she is, even though her voice doesn't sound like it did when she was alive. She sounds older and meaner. No more bubbliness. I should be surprised, but I'm not. I've been waiting for this moment. If someone shoved me out of a barn, I'd haunt them too, until they brought my killer to justice. Even though I'm not surprised, I'm still terrified. All I want to do is run out of the room as fast as I can. Detective Carl studies my face as he talks.
We can skip all the other stuff and just get right down to what happened that night, so you can get out of here quickly. How does that sound?
I gulp, struggling to breathe around the suffocating fear, and nod for him to go on, even though every part of me wants to tell him to stop. But there's no way out of this. I just have to get it over with so I can get out of here.
Do you remember what time it was when you girls went outside?
He grabs a pen and reaches for the yellow legal pad on his desk. 10:15?
You're sure?
Yes, Mrs. Wheeler is always in her bedroom at 9, lights out at 9:30. He raises his eyebrows.
Every night?
Every night.
Do you think you could walk me through what happened?
He taps his pen on the notebook. Sweat drips down my back. Can he see my heart thumping in my chest? What if I screw up the answers? My heartbeat rings loudly in my ears. I want to cover them, but I'll look like an idiot if I do. I have to keep it together. Contain the storm inside me. Crystal and I rehearsed this. I let out a deep breath. We got a bottle of gin from Scott at school on Friday, and he holds his hand up to stop me.
We meaning who?
Me and Crystal?
Which Scott?
They, I say, realizing as soon as I give up his last name that I just ratted him out to the police. He's never going to get us booze again, and will be really mad if he finds out I told on him. I should have seen that one coming. I have to focus.
Okay, so the two of you had the bottle on Friday. Go on.
We just got outside, and we were going to the barn when we ran into Veronica and Alice. They'd snuck out too, but we weren't planning on hanging out together or anything like that. It just happened that way. We should have just said no, forgotten the whole idea, and gone back inside. What were we thinking saying yes? Alice really wanted to hang out in the barn with us, and she begged Veronica to go. That's how we all ended up in the hayloft together.
Whose idea was it to go in the hayloft?
What do you mean, whose idea?
Why the hayloft? Why not another one of the buildings that might not have been so hot? It was really hot that night, wasn't it?
I nod, remembering how the heat made my thoughts even thicker.
So, why there? You could have found much cooler spots.
We always go in the hayloft.
How come?
Because Veronica... I almost spill the beans again, but this time I catch myself. We just like having a huge area to ourselves.
Does Mrs. Wheeler allow you girls to go up there?
Mrs. Wheeler doesn't care about what we do as long as we fulfill our responsibilities. Plus, she's busy from sunrise until sunset, so she doesn't have time to worry about every little thing we do. But I can't say that to him. She's fine with it, I respond instead.
Take me through what happened while you were up there.
Here we are. The big lie part. Up until now, I haven't had to lie. I've never gotten this far, and nobody's pushed me past here. I don't want to lie or talk about what happened, but I just have to get through it once, and then I never have to do it again. We played some games and...
Drinking games?
I nod before continuing. Yes, but it was a lot of just talking and laughing, too. Flashes of Alice's smile as she spun around the barn with Crystal belting out Shania Twain cut in. I shove them out like I do every time they come. It hurts to remember. Mostly we played Truth or Dare.
The four of you?
His eyes pierce my soul. I break away from his gaze and stare out the windows behind him. Part of my soul strains to leave, to travel out the window and into the sun where I can breathe for real. Yes. He waits, like there's more to say, and there's so much more to say, but I can't.
Can you tell me about when Alice fell?
Yeah, Nicole. Tell him. I thought she was gone. I automatically turn my head to the side, to the sound of her voice. Don't look at me. He's going to start getting suspicious. He'll think you're a freak. I sit up straighter in my chair and tuck my hair behind my ears, trying to look normal even though my mind is racing in 1,000 different directions. It all happened really fast. One minute we were running around playing and they were over by the hayloft door.
They?
Alice, Crystal, and Veronica. He scribbles away for a few seconds.
Where were you? I thought you were there when it happened.
I dig my nails into the palm of my hand. I hate this, but I have to keep going. I just wasn't right in front of the door. Now it sounds like I'm trying to put the accident off on them, and that's not what I want to do. He studies me for a second before asking his next question.
What did you see?
Alice is quiet, but her breath is hot on the back of my neck. I watch Detective Carl for any recognition, and there's none. He doesn't see her. They were in front of me, so I didn't see much except the running and playing around. Then Alice tripped.
She tripped?
He doesn't hide his skepticism. I nod. The taste of bile rises in my throat.
Did she trip on something?
This time I shake my head. He leans in across the table.
So she tripped on her own feet and fell all the way out of the door.
Another nod. I don't have words. I can't open my mouth. I'll puke.
And she just, wah!
He makes a spread eagle movement like he's a flailing superhero.
And went flying through the hayloft door?
His eyebrows arch in disbelief. One more nod. We've got to be getting close. The end has to be near. Almost there, and then I never have to do this again. Crystal said they'd only make me tell it once. I can do anything once.
See, Nicole, that's where I'm having a little bit of trouble. Maybe you could help me understand something.
He scratches his chin. His forehead wrinkles.
If she tripped and pitched herself forward out the door, it's only a few stories to the ground, so she'd fall straight down. You'd expect to find her face down on her stomach, but that's not how the paramedics found her. She was lying on her back. How did she trip if her back was to the door?
We moved her, I blurt without thinking. He rummages through the papers on his desk until he finds what he's looking for.
This is the paramedics' report, and it says here that you told the paramedics you didn't move Alice. That you were too afraid because you didn't want to hurt her.
He makes air quotes while reading my part.
Are you sure you moved her?
Everything happened so fast, I stammer. I twist my hands on my lap. Maybe we didn't. Maybe I'm just getting confused. The room spins, tilts. I grip the edge of my seat like it's a ride and I might fall off if I don't.
Was she running backward?
No.
The forensic team came back the next day and all the blood had been cleaned up. Did you help with that?
The kindness in his eyes is gone. Was I not supposed to? Did we do something wrong? I don't like where this is going.
You didn't do anything wrong. I just want to know if you helped clean it up.
Me and Crystal did. It was a huge mess. That only grew bigger and wider the harder we scrubbed. Blood spreads like oil paint when you clean it with water. Mrs. Wheeler told us to help, so we did.
Do you always do what Mrs. Wheeler tells you to?
He raises his eyebrows. Yes.
Did she tell you to do anything else that night?
I freeze. I'm pretty sure you can go to jail for lying, but I'm not scared of going to jail. I'm scared of going to hell. I haven't only just seen what it looks like, I've smelled it too. I strain my ears for Alice's voice, but she's gone. Will she be back? Every lying word takes effort, but I spit the last ones out. No, we didn't talk about anything. We just cleaned.
25. Crystal. I came straight to the hospital as soon as the daily activities ended because I couldn't go another minute without talking to Nicole. I tried burying myself in work after my meeting with Detective Sparks, but couldn't focus on anything. How could I, after finding out Aiden cheated on Nicole for their entire marriage, probably the whole time they were together? Was everything he said a lie? I can't stop replaying our lives together, searching for any clue or sign that I missed. Anything hinting at infidelity or a double life, but I keep coming up empty-handed. They seemed like they had a perfect marriage. I left my office and drove around in circles for hours, then walked down by the river. I was hoping to clear my head, but nothing worked. Detective Sparks has no idea if Nicole knew or recently found out about Aiden's history of affairs and inappropriate sexual behavior at work. As far as he can tell from the interviews he's conducted with Aiden's colleagues and friends, all of them kept it a closely guarded secret. It seems like staying quiet about his indiscretions was an unspoken job requirement, no matter what position you held. But Detective Sparks is betting, just like me, that finding out about it is what flipped her. It makes the most sense. There's no way Nicole's psychosis happened on its own or unprovoked. She started hearing Alice's voice when she was under extreme strain, and finding out the love of your life isn't who he said he was doesn't just shake up your world, it annihilates it. I've seen it happen to hundreds of women I've represented over the years. Lots of them go into mind-numbing depression after they find out about their husband's betrayal, and it takes them a long time to climb out of that hole. Maybe she found out about Aiden's cheating and was so devastated that she couldn't get out of bed. That's what happened after Alice's death. She didn't leave her bed for days. She just lay there like a limp, lifeless doll. It would explain why she didn't leave her house or go outside for a week. It also explains why she never reached out to me. That's bothered me since the beginning, but the last time she got into this kind of trouble, she didn't reach out to me either. The only reason I knew about her struggle was because we shared a bedroom, and there was no way for her to hide it from me. The difference between other women and Nicole is that she brought a demon with her out of that dark place. It wasn't long afterward that she started hearing Alice's voice. Is someone talking to her now? Controlling and manipulating her in the same way Alice did? She's always referring to they whenever she talks about Aiden or is in one of her paranoid states, but she never says who they are. I just hope it's not Alice. I don't know what I'll do if she's back. I barely saved Nicole from her last time. What if she's too far gone for me to reach into her psyche and pull her back into reality like I did before? That's the question that terrifies me the most and won't leave. I try shoving it back down again while I wait for her to get back on the unit. Thankfully, I don't have to wait long. Within a few minutes, she walks into the community room with the other patients, and she looks even better than she did this morning. Her face is back to its usual pale and not the pasty gray that it's been, like she's got cancer or some other terrible disease. Her eyes are the most startling, though. They're clear and crisp, like she's inside herself again. Those drugs were poison. "Hi," she says, giving me a small smile. Derek slides a chair out for her before taking a seat at the table behind us, trying to give us as much privacy as possible. "How were all the groups and activities you went to today?" I ask in the same way a mother asks their child about school when they get home. "Exhausting," she says, slumping forward in her seat. It's our first real exchange since the accident, and I want to throw my arms around her and swing her around the room to celebrate, but I can't come on too strong. I don't want to scare her back inside herself, so I keep myself in check. "I want to talk to you about something," I say, not wanting to waste a minute of her lucidity. She lowers her head and drops her gaze low, barely moving her lips when she talks, like we used to do when we were kids and didn't want anyone to overhear. She's still a master. "I want to talk to you too." She clutches my hand. Her nails dig into me. "It's about Aiden." Her eyes skirt the room. She twists her body to look behind her, making sure he's not coming into the room or at the nurse's station. I hold my breath, hoping this time it'll be different, that her thoughts will be grounded in reality. She's so alert, almost coherent. Okay, what about Aiden? I prompt after the seconds stretch into minutes and she still hasn't gone on. She makes another sweep of the room before speaking.
He's not who you think he is.
Hope falls like a heavy rock into the pit of my stomach. For a second, she seemed like she was taking her first steps toward getting better. Nicole, we've been through this. Aiden, she grabs my arm and pulls me closer, smashing my body against her side.
I'm serious, I'm starting to remember things.
All thoughts drop from my head. Nothing from this afternoon matters. From that night? She nods.
Yes, I think so. I don't know, none of it makes sense.
She flings a terrified glance over her shoulder, still not sure she's safe.
I guess I just have a few memories. At least, I think they're memories. They're little flashes. I think I'm remembering, but it feels like I'm dreaming. Maybe I'm dreaming, I don't know. It's so confusing.
She drops my hand and rubs her wounded forearms. The scars create a jagged ladder running up to her elbows. I can't give her time to lose her grip and fall backward. I've never pushed, and I still won't push hard, but she needs some pressure to keep going. I reach out and take one of her hands in mine. I knead her fingers, doing my best to relax the tension making them stiff. It's okay. Just tell me what you remember. She lets out a long, shaky breath.
Aiden screaming at me. Lots of angry screaming. His face is in mine. He's just yelling and yelling at me. I can't make him stop.
You see his face? She nods. Not just hear his voice?
Yes.
Relief floods my body. What's he saying?
I can't tell. I can't hear it. But he's just so mad, and I don't know what to do. I'm just scared of him. So scared.
Her voice trails off, and her face crumples like she's going to cry. I squeeze her hand, rub her back. It's okay. I reassure her for what feels like the 1,000th time. Her terror is palpable through her shirt. I've only seen her like this one other time. You're safe now. Nobody can hurt you here.
And then there's a girl, too. Well, not a girl. She's a woman.
My stomach free falls, mouth instantly dry.
What did you just say?
I ask, hoping she misspoke. Maybe I didn't hear her right.
There's a woman. I see her too.
My heartbeat thuds in my chest. The blood rushes through my ears in a swooshing sound. I take Nicole's other hand in mine, holding them both on my lap, terrified for the answer to the question that comes next. But I have to know. Because that changes everything and confirms my worst fear.
Is it Alice? Is she back?
26. Nicole. Then. What are you doing out there? Crystal calls to me from our bedroom window, trying to keep her voice down. Her hair is piled high in a towel on top of her head. She doesn't have to whisper any more than I had to go out the window tonight. I could have used the front door, because as long as we don't tell the truth about what happened to Alice, Mrs. Wheeler doesn't care what we do anymore. Everything's changed around here. The four of us have stopped speaking to each other in the house unless it's to say, pass the butter, or can you grab the milk from the refrigerator. We don't pretend anymore or talk just because we don't want to sit in silence. I got up in the middle of dinner tonight and carried my plate into our bedroom. That's against about 10 different house rules, starting with no food in the bedrooms and you must ask to be excused from the table, but Mrs. Wheeler didn't do anything to stop me. Crystal was minutes behind me with a goofy grin on her face. Oh my God, she didn't even know what to say after you left. She got this surprised reaction when you first took off, but then this weird indifference came over her face and she went back to her food. Crystal's plate was almost empty, but she'd brought it with her just to see if she could get away with it too. That totally came from nowhere. What made you just get up all of a sudden? Alice. That's the answer I wanted to give her, but I was too scared. Just like I am now to tell her I came outside to see if I could still hear Alice. She's only spoken inside so far. I was hoping maybe she was only an inside voice like the ones they used to tell us to use in elementary school, but she's not. She's an outside voice too. An everywhere kind, and I don't know what to do. What if Crystal doesn't believe me? What if she thinks I'm crazy? That's all Alice kept whispering tonight. Don't say a word to anyone about me. But I've never had a secret from Crystal before. Not one. It feels icky on my insides. I just needed some fresh air. I answer Crystal in my regular voice before too much time passes and she starts getting suspicious. She jumps up on the window ledge and swings her legs through the window in one swift movement. She plops onto the ground and walks over to join me behind the rose bushes. She's dressed in the Mickey Mouse t-shirt she sleeps in every night. His picture is so faded, there's only pieces of the image left. "What's going on?" she asks. "You've been weird since we left the police station." I didn't speak on the drive home or during chores. It's hard to speak when all you're doing is listening to see if you'll hear it again. Terrified you will. I can't stay here anymore. I have to get out. I really want to call my mom. She sighs. We've been through this. It's too dangerous. Besides, you don't even know where she's staying. She might not be in this state. She speaks to me like I'm a toddler, and I don't like it. So what? At least we can try to find her. I'll make her take both of us even if she says no, and then we can do all the stuff we've talked about with emancipation. It'll be just like we planned, except we'll be doing it there instead of here. We'll get jobs and go to community college at night. The plan sounds better and better as I talk. Most community colleges have track teams and we can try out. There's no way we won't make the team. I'm sure you'll get recognized right away and probably still get a scholarship to a good school once they see how good you are. We can do what we planned. I can't wait, Crystal. We have to go. I'm still not sure. Why do you get the final say? I put my hands on my hips. Sometimes she makes me furious. I've switched sides like she's been begging me to do for the past year, but now that she thinks it's a bad idea, we're not going to do it. That's not fair. It's not about having the final say. It's about being smart. I cut her off. So I'm dumb. That's not what I'm saying. You know I don't think you're dumb. But think about it for a second. Filing emancipation paperwork is going to draw more attention to us, which is the last thing we want. We're trying to be invisible and keep the focus off of us. Detective Carl doesn't know we've been planning and talking about this for almost 2 years. It will look like we suddenly filed paperwork giving us the right to legally run away. Don't you see how bad that would look for us? Yes, but I don't care. We didn't do anything wrong. This, I gesture to the space around us, is what we're doing wrong. Lying. Sitting around rehearsing the story we're going to tell people when they ask us questions. Please, I want to go to my mom's. That's all I could think about when we left Detective Carl's office. Out. Just get out. There's got to be another option, Crystal says, crossing her arms on her chest. She knows as well as I do that there's not. My mom it is, unless we want to live on the streets. Social services lost contact with Crystal's mom 3 years ago, and she's never known her dad. I'll live on the streets if we have to, but at least my mom's might be a little safer and we'd have a bathroom. She plops down on the grass and pats the spot next to her. I sit beside her cross-legged, and the solid ground underneath me feels good. I get all that, but it's not why you went out the window while I was in the shower, Nicole. We never go out the window unless we're sneaking out. I freaked out when I saw it open because I thought someone came in and grabbed you, but then I spotted you out here. What's up for real? I pull my knees up to my chest. I was putting my clothes away in our bedroom after my shower when someone called my name. I held my breath, hoping it was Crystal as I opened our bedroom door to see what she wanted. But it wasn't her. She was singing in the shower. The hallway was empty. I closed the door and stepped back in our room. The world swirled underneath my feet like it did in Detective Carl's office. It felt like I'd been hanging upside down for hours. I know you can hear me. I clutched the shirt I was folding to my chest and twirled around the room, searching for Alice. My eyes bounced from the window to the bed to the desk. I wanted to move, but I was frozen. Where are you? Why won't you let me see you? I asked, keeping my voice low. She giggled. It's more fun this way, don't you think? Why are you doing this to me? I cried. Because of what you did to me. But I didn't do it, it wasn't me. Please leave me alone. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, but I didn't do it. I started crying. Doesn't matter. You should have done something. I couldn't stop her. I didn't know she was going to do it. I swear I didn't. I sobbed while I talked. It happened so fast and I wasn't even close to you guys. Don't you remember that? I would have grabbed you if I could have, tried to save you. I really would have. Please leave me alone. Where was she? Not being able to see her made me feel crazy. You can't stop Veronica, okay? You don't know her. Something's broken inside her. I don't know what it is or how it got broke, but you can't fix it. I tried. But that's not my fault. Please, that's not my fault. You have to leave me alone. I never would have hurt you. The air stilled as I waited for her to talk. She was still there. I couldn't see her, but I sensed her in the same way I sensed deer when they were close in the woods. A few more seconds passed, and my legs loosened up so that I could move again. I didn't wait for her to respond or do anything else. The window was the quickest way out of the room, so I tugged it open and hurtled my way through. I bolted across the lawn like someone was chasing me, and didn't stop until I got to the rose bushes. My heart's still pounding. Nicole? Crystal calls me back into the present, and I collide with my dilemma. Will Alice be mad if I tell Crystal? I don't want to make her any madder than she already is. But I can't lie to Crystal either. We don't lie to each other, that's our rule. Number 1 on the top of our list that we made when we were 8. Number 2 was never hurt each other on purpose. I drop my voice to a whisper, even though there's nobody around for miles. I have something to tell you, but you have to keep it a secret. She nods. Promise? You can't ever tell anyone, ever. I won't tell anyone, Nicole. I promise.
27. Crystal.
It's not Alice.
Nicole shakes her head. She unwinds the leather bracelet she made in occupational therapy from her wrist and twists it around her finger.
At least I don't think it is.
We don't speak about Alice. We left her behind when we ran away from Mrs. Wheeler's and haven't spoken of her since that first night alone in the hotel room. When we were 8, we wrote down a set of rules to govern our lives. They were the rules for how we'd function to meet our goals, and we thought they'd last forever. But we were too young to know that adulthood requires different rules, so you have to make up new rules to fit your new world. We stayed up half the night creating ours. Not talking about Alice was somewhere in the top 5, since there was no way we were taking her with us on our fresh start.
How do you know it's not her?
My voice is barely above a whisper. Alice's name snaps me back to age 17. Memories violently push their way to the surface in the way they do after they've been brought to light after so many years buried in the darkness. Alive Alice liked me, but dead Alice hated me almost as much as she hated Veronica. Nicole was so scared to tell me about Alice, and I was proud of how I handled it that first night. I gave her a hug and told her that I was there for her no matter what. It made sense that she thought she heard Alice's voice, and I shared how Alice's face flashed through my brain when I was least expecting it, and that I had nightmares too. Mine were just different. Hers had her being chased around a lake of fire, and mine were stuck on repeat with the image of Alice's horrified face as Veronica shoved her out of the hayloft. So I got what Nicole was going through. I thought we were going through the same thing and that things would get better over time. But we weren't going through the same thing. And things didn't get better over time. My intrusive images of Alice weren't the same as Nicole hearing her voice. I knew the pictures of Alice's face that flashed through my mind unbidden and refused to leave weren't real. Nicole really believed she heard Alice speak. She thought she was an invisible ghost. I would wake in the middle of the night to find Nicole sitting on her bed talking animatedly to Alice even though nobody was there. She developed weird tics because she wanted to look whenever Alice said something to her, but constantly fought the urge so she wouldn't appear weird. Alice made her do things to prove her loyalty, like stealing food from the dinner table or hiding Veronica's favorite clothes. It wasn't long before Nicole pulled away from me because Alice told her I didn't understand their relationship. "The woman I'm seeing is pretty," Nicole says, as if that settles everything since Alice wasn't exactly a good-looking kid. Except some of the most unattractive teenagers grow into the most beautiful adults. Nicole didn't have to look any farther than the mirror to confirm that fact. She wasn't ugly by any stretch of the imagination when we were kids, but it took her a long time to grow into her features and become a woman who turns heads. But I don't want to challenge her or make her second-guess herself because she's finally talking, and I don't want her to stop. Maybe Alice grew up to be a beautiful woman, I say as lightly as possible, even though dead people don't age. Okay, well, the woman has green eyes just like me, and remember, Alice's eyes were brown? Nicole twists her hands on her lap, still anxiously working the bracelet around her fingers. I shake my head. I did my best to blot out those parts. I haven't thought about Alice or pictured her face in years. I work hard at staying in the present moment and not traveling back in time, especially to periods that were so awful and painful. That's the only way to move forward. Nicole turns to me, her face anxious and pale. I'm so confused, Crystal. Nothing makes sense. Her eyes take in the community room like it's the first time she's really noticed where she is. The room is in disarray, because it's impossible to keep it orderly when the patients are continually flipping out and creating chaos. Hilda wanders the perimeter, spitting on the floor every few feet and muttering to herself. Jackson, the youngest on the unit, sits huddled in the corner pulling chunks of his hair out because he's convinced aliens have stuck probes in his head. The two rail-thin anorexics sit at a table playing Scrabble, their board cluttered with food words. The blue plastic chairs are filled with clusters of other patients whose stories I don't know and, frankly, don't want to. What's happening to me? She asks, taking another sweep of the room. Like me, she clearly feels out of place in this bizarre land. I do my best to channel Dr. McGowan, keeping all emotion from my voice and sticking to the facts. You're having a hard time separating what's real and what's not real. You're believing things that aren't true. She scrunches up her face the way she does when she's listening really hard and trying to understand the material, just like she used to do in math class. It's not your fault, Nicole. None of this is your fault. You didn't do anything to cause this. There are lots of reasons people get this way, and the doctors are doing everything they can to fix you. She locks eyes with me, registering exactly what I'm saying. Did my brain break like before? She doesn't have to explain which before. There's only one. I nod, admitting the truth to myself at the same time that I'm admitting it to her. Her eyes grow wide. Do you think it has something to do with the woman? I'm not sure. I've wandered through the world of her delusions with her before. It was like a funhouse museum with double mirrors and sliding glass doors, and I dread going there with her again, but I'm not sure we have any other choice if we're going to get to the bottom of things. Things stir around us. The energy rises. The patients' voices grow louder and more animated. I glance at the clock, 6:45 p.m. almost medication time. The change shifts Nicole's state, too. She starts jiggling her legs underneath the table. I can't tell if I'm sleeping or awake, Crystal. I think I'm sleeping, then I think I'm awake, then I'm like, no, I'm asleep. I'm dreaming. I tell myself, wake up, Nicole, get up. It's time to wake up. Remember how I used to say that sophomore year to get me through stats class? Her voice is pressured and hurried, like it could be snatched away from her at any moment, so she's got to get everything out before it does. I just want to know what's going on, to be inside myself again, but I'm outside me and I can't remember. I'm trying so hard, I really am. Like maybe if I focus enough, then I'll figure out what's happening, but I can't. My mind leaves. It just goes and I can't control it. And then there's Aiden. I'm so scared of him. But I love Aiden. Why am I so scared of him? She peeks behind her like someone is sneaking up on her. Her agitation is palpable. Her hands never stop moving. She scrapes at the wounds on her forearms. What about the woman? Does she need my help? She looks scared too. Take a deep breath and slow down, I say, even though she's way past the point where deep breathing would be helpful. But I have to ground her before she spirals any further down. You don't need to figure everything out right now, okay? It's going to take a while for you to feel normal again, and you have to give yourself that time. Don't push yourself so hard. And the reason it feels like you're waking up is because you are, in a way. You've basically been in a drug-induced stupor for around a week. They had you doped up on so much medication at first it was disgusting. She can't hide her shock and surprise. A week? I've been here that long? I nod. How did I get here? She keeps stealing glances at the other patients. I can tell it's as unsettling to her as it was to me during my initial visits on the unit. You don't remember? She shakes her head. There was a fire at your house, and when the firefighters showed up, you basically attacked them. The police officers came next, and you jumped on one of their backs like you did to Jesse Alberts in 4th grade after he stole your snack money. I can't tell her everything yet. It's too overwhelming. I've got to back her away from the edge, not toward it. How did my house start on fire? Did it burn down? Her eyes are wide with fear. She searches my face for understanding. Your house is okay. It's still standing. There's a lot of smoke damage, but beyond that, I think it will be fine. I take a long, deliberate breath and let it out slowly. It looks like you started the fire. Her mouth drops open. She sits straight up in her chair. Why would I do that? Her forehead wrinkles as she grapples with the information. I wish I had an answer, but we don't know. That's what we're trying to figure out. Why would I do that? She asks again, like she didn't hear what I said. She shoves her chair back and stands. Agitation takes over her expression and moves into her body. I quickly pull her back down to the chair. Listen, honey, just sit down, okay? This is a lot to take in. She does what I say, moving robotically into her chair. I just don't understand. She shakes her head. Her eyes are fixed in a 1,000-yard stare. I put my arm around her and pull her rigid body next to mine. This is a lot for you to take in all at once, and I know that's hard. But you're back from whatever dark place you were in. That's a good thing. We're going to get you better, okay? And we're going to get through this, just like we get through every other difficult thing in our lives, sweetie. Her body slowly relaxes against mine, as my words work like soothing balm to sunburned skin on her psyche.
28. Nicole. Then. Leave me alone! Go away! I yell, running out of the barn and away from Crystal. I don't want her anywhere near me. It's barely a month since Alice died, and she acts like it never happened. Like we're just supposed to go on with our lives. She's no better than Veronica and Mrs. Wheeler. Get away from me! I holler again, but she easily catches me. She tugs on my arm and pulls me back. Listen to me! Stop! Talk to me! Come on! She cries. Don't shut me out! I don't know what I'm doing! What the right thing to say is, I spin around to face her. You say you believe me, that's what you say! Rage surges through me as I try to catch my breath. I've never been so mad at her. How can you not be on my side? She grabs my other arm, twisting me toward her and forcing me to stop. I'm always on your side. You know that. I shrug her off me and turn away, walking in the direction of the house. I don't want to go back inside yet, but I don't want to be in that barn with her anymore either. Alice told me she'd do this. She said she'd stop believing me. She said she'd turn on us. I hate that she's right. I hate it. Angry tears burn my eyes. I've never felt so betrayed, and it only makes it worse that she was right. I told you, Alice whispers in my ear. Shut up, I think in response. She's so immature, like a toddler. She and Veronica should have been friends. They're perfect for each other. Crystal grabs me from behind, pulling me hard this time. Stop, Nicole, just stop. You said that it was okay that I heard Alice's voice, that there was nothing wrong with it because of what happened. Remember that? Remember what you said, Crystal? I glare at her. Yes, but that was before what? I step closer to her. She steps away, but this time, I'm the one not letting her get away. You said you wanted to talk about it? Let's talk. I put my hands on my hips. It's just that... She takes a deep, shuddering breath. It's been weeks. Almost a month, and I think things should have started mellowing out. But nothing's better. You're still the same. You're saying I should get over it. That's what the rest of them have done. They get up every day and go on with their lives like everything is totally back to normal. Nothing is okay. It's never going to be again. I'm not saying anything like that, but all your grades are dropping and you're skipping school. You've never skipped school. There are tears in her voice, but I don't care. I shove my finger in her face. I knew you were still mad about that. You told me you weren't mad. Last week, I walked out of math class because Alice was yelling so loudly that I thought my head would explode. I couldn't hear anything else. Nothing. That's what she does now if I ignore her. She screams at me like a tyrant until I give her my undivided attention. Everyone told Crystal about it afterward because apparently I put my hands over my ears and bolted out of the room like someone was chasing me. But they all like to tell stories. They're always blowing things out of proportion. It wasn't even like that. I just had to get out of there, so I did. It's not about skipping school. It's just about how much you're changing. You're doing things you don't ever do. You talk to yourself, Alice, all the time. I don't think you know how often you're doing it, Nicole. Her eyes fill with concern. It's scary how much you get into it with her. That's why she's so freaked out. Me and Alice got into a fight while I was draining the hoses, and Crystal walked in on us. You would have thought she walked in on my having sex with someone by the way she reacted. She looked at me like she didn't know who I was. What are you doing? She'd asked. Nothing. I'd tried playing it off like I didn't just have my finger in Alice's invisible face, yelling so hard spit flung from my mouth. That wasn't nothing, Nicole. That was something. Her eyes were filled with fear. Like I was a stranger. Leave me alone, I shouted and pushed her aside. She's wearing the same expression that she did in the barn. What if you talked to one of the school guidance counselors about what's going on? She asks. They always say we can come to them with anything, and it's completely confidential. I'll even come with you if you want. We can talk to her together so it doesn't seem so weird. Why would I talk to the counselor? Aren't we trying to avoid talking to people? She's scared, Nicole. She doesn't understand. Nobody understands. I'm the only one that gets you. I already told you that. I ignore Alice and focus on Crystal. Come on, Nicole. Please quit being so difficult. I'm just trying to help you. Help? I'm not the one that needs help. Alice was the one that needed help, but we didn't help her, did we? And these people? I shake my fist at the house. My body trembles with rage. They need help too. Little Miss Veronica is the devil. Notice how she's just moved on like it's nothing? Nothing! Why can't Alice torture her? She's the one who did it. Did you know that's what we fight about? That's what we're always fighting about, you know that? Oh, but you don't know that because we don't talk about it anymore. You're just as bad as they are. This is what I mean. You're not you anymore. It's scaring me. She starts to cry, and she rarely cries. Usually that makes me stop, but I can't. Something inside of me has been unleashed. I'm scaring you? I want to shake her, make her understand. I'm not going crazy, Crystal. I didn't say you were crazy. I just said you needed help. Voices are inside your head. Inside. I jab my fingers to my temple.
This is the end of disc number 5. Please insert disc number 6. This is disc number 6.
The voices in her head told her to do it. How many times do people say that? How many? She takes a step back. I take one toward her. She's not getting away. Tell me how many. She holds up her hands to protect her face like my words are going to hurt her. Please, Nicole, don't. Not again. No, you think I'm crazy even though you won't admit it. You might as well just admit it and stop pretending. I take another step closer to her. Our chests almost touch. Our noses are within inches of each other. Everyone always says the voices in their head made them do it. But she's not in my head, Crystal. Alice's voice isn't in my head. It's here. It's everywhere. Why can't you understand? My fists clench at my sides. I want to shake her, make her see the light. That's what you don't get. She's outside of me. She's not in my head. I stab my temple again to drive the point home. Listen to me, Nicole. Listen. She puts a hand on each of my cheeks and looks me dead in the eye. She's never been so serious. If she was a ghost, then I would hear her too, but I don't. You're the only one that does. That means she's not real. So now you're jealous of me. She springs back, dropping her hands from my face. What? You can't be serious. That might be the stupidest thing you've ever said. I'm jealous because she doesn't talk to me? You really do need help. She points to the house. Go ahead. I'm going back to the barn. She turns on her heel and leaves me standing alone in the driveway. I told you she wouldn't understand. No! I scream, shaking my head wildly. Alice finally has me where she wants me, alone and without Crystal's interference in our life. Crystal has barely talked to me since our fight last week, but Alice won't shut up. I press my fingers into my eyes as hard as I can to blot out the images of her burning face. Pink and white specks dance in front of my lids. Her breath is in my face, rancid and hot. She's never going to stop. She won't stop until Veronica pays for what she did to her, but Veronica won't listen to me. She never listens. I hate her, but I won't hurt her. I can't. I sob as the shower beats down on the empty tub while I sit on the toilet. It's the only way no one hears us. She said no one can hear us. But if no one can hear us, no one can help us. She whispers in my ear, You think my face is bad? Wait until you see what I'll do to your sister if you don't do what I say. Shut up! I yell, covering my ears with both hands. But she won't shut up. She never shuts up. She laughs. She's laughing in my face. She's laughing in my ears. She's laughing all around me. Sing the Crystal song. My Crystal song. Hush, little baby, don't say a word. Mama's gonna buy you a mockingbird. Don't test me, Nicole. I plaster my hands on my ears, singing louder. And if that mockingbird don't sing, Mama's gonna buy you a diamond ring. Your mama's not gonna buy you anything. And if that mockingbird don't sing, Mama's gonna buy you a diamond ring. I rock and sing, drowning out the sound of her voice.
29. Crystal. I creep down the hospital corridor, keeping my eyes peeled for anyone from Aiden's family. Aiden texted me last night that he was being discharged today, so one of them has to be here to take him home. And I'm not taking a chance with running into any of them. I'm still angry that they pushed so hard to bring charges against Nicole, and I don't know what I'll do if one of them tries to confront me today. I round the corner and step into his room. All the cards and flowers that had filled his room and covered his walls since his arrival are gone. Marlene kept his room decorated so that there was something happy and inspiring no matter where you looked. But he's taken all that down. It's stripped bare. He stands with his back to me, and a surge of anger shoots through my body at the sight of him. He's a filthy cheater of the worst kind. He turns around at the sound of my steps, and I stagger backward when I see his face. With everything going on, I forgot they took his bandages off yesterday. His eager blue eyes stare out at me from bright pink eyelids that look like they've been flipped inside out. His head is misshapen and shaved on one side. Nasty burns in various stages of awfulness cover the left side of his face. There are blisters and huge welts like a really bad sunburn, but his right side is worse. Parts of that skin are blackened like a burned marshmallow. His appearance sucks the words and the rage out of me.
Hey,
he says in a voice full of eagerness and desperation.
What's going on? Why haven't you been returning any of my texts?
I've just, been really busy with everything going on. I stumble over my words, trying not to look at his face or his eyes peering at me, like those of a little boy longing for acceptance. His skin looks so painful. There's a fleshy open hole in the side of his cheek packed with gauze. He follows my gaze to his wounded cheek.
A piece of the carpet melted to my cheek. The doctors said it was still attached in the emergency room, and they had to.
I put my hand up to stop him. I don't want to hear the gory details. I'm good, that's enough.
It's pretty bad, huh?
His face crumples. It's not your best look, that's for sure, I joke, despite how angry I was minutes ago.
I'm thinking I might shave the other side of my head just so that it matches,
He responds, forcing a smile, but tears prick his eyes. I nod. Everything I'd planned to say since last night is gone. He turns around to zip the duffel bag on top of his bed, and I take a huge gulping breath, trying to regain my center. Are you going to stay with your parents? His back stiffens at the mention of them, and he whips back around.
Absolutely not. I haven't spoken to them since I found out they forced the DA to file charges against Nicole. I'm staying at the Old Road Inn so I can be close to Nicole.
The Old Road Inn is the only hotel in Belmont, and nobody stays there. They've cleaned it up over the years, but it's still a dump, and nothing good happens there, especially at night. Out-of-towners make the 30-minute drive to the city. Any other time, I would have offered him my guest room, but I can't bring myself to do it. I take a deep breath. I know about all the other women, Aiden. It comes out soft and filled with sadness, nothing like I'd expected. The life drains from his body. He leans back on the bed.
I knew it was only a matter of time before you found out.
He hangs his head low, staring at his shoes while he speaks.
You have to understand that it has nothing to do with Nicole. You know how much I love her. She's my world.
My anger flares instantly. Nothing to do with Nicole? You're married to her.
Yes, but that's different. It's not even the same thing.
His voice wavers like he's going to cry.
You have to let me explain myself.
What's there to explain? You're a cheater. No explanation changes that, and you know it. All you had to do was let people know from the very beginning that you are cheating scum and your wife found out about it. You could have... He jumps in.
No, that's not what happened.
You didn't cheat on Nicole? He looks away. Exactly.
Just hear me out, okay?
His voice is thick with emotion. He doesn't wait for me to answer.
It's true that I have sex with other women, and I'm sorry. Not just for the sex, but for keeping it a secret.
His expression fills with deep regret, but I don't feel sorry for him. Not even a little bit. There's no denying I've kept quiet about Nicole's past, but I did it to protect her. Disclosing her breakdown before would have meant dredging up Alice's death, and there's no doubt in my mind that Mrs. Wheeler would follow up on her threats, even though so much time has passed. There's no statute of limitations on murder, and I couldn't take that chance, however remote it might be. Our deception isn't the same thing, since I'm pretty sure he's only been lying to protect himself. I'm not the one you should be apologizing to, I snap.
Being faithful has been a problem for a long time.
Shame contorts his mangled face.
It started when I was a teenager and never stopped. I've tried to quit so many times, I can't even tell you how many times I swore I was done. But that part of me has nothing to do with Nicole.
Except you're married to her. She's not here to defend herself, so I have to.
I know. And it was a huge mistake.
A mistake? It might be a mistake the first time, but after that it's a choice, and one you made over and over again.
But it never feels like a choice. You don't understand. It's a twisted compulsion that I don't have any control over.
I move my neck back and forth, trying to release the tension in my body. As mad as I am at him, I also want to know what happened. How many women were there? He balks.
I mean, I don't know. I've never really counted.
Give me your best estimate, then. I refuse to let him off the hook.
Maybe 20?
He says softly, dropping his gaze to the floor and lowering his head in shame. 20 women? I don't even try to hide my surprise at his number. He nods, still refusing to make eye contact. When? I mean, how? How do you even find the time for that? I still can't wrap my brain around his number. His face bears the weight of his guilt and his secrets.
I've always had this sex-crazed side of me since I was a teenager. It's like this weird compulsion that comes over me and won't leave me alone until I give in and feed it.
He takes a deep, shuddering breath.
I thought it would stop after I married Nicole. And for a while it did, but then it came back. And when that darkness comes over me, I don't know how to stop it. I can't help myself, and I feel like the biggest piece of shit afterward. Every time I do it, I tell myself I will never, ever do it again.
He finally raises his eyes to meet mine.
I love Nicole with every fiber of my being. She's the most important thing to me.
You can't love someone like that and cheat on them. He shakes his head wildly.
But it's not that simple or that black and white.
Yes, it is, Aiden. In cases like this, it's very black and white.
It's just sex. That's all it is, nothing more. I'm a cheater, but it doesn't mean that I don't love Nicole. That part of my life is completely separate from our life together.
I want to slap his wounded face. Do you know how ridiculous you sound?
Sex and love are two different things. Those women, they mean nothing to me. Absolutely nothing. Half the time I don't even know their names.
His eyes beg for understanding, but all his excuses just make him sound more like a pig. But what did I expect? He's a Fisher, and people like the Fishers think they can get away with anything. The normal rules of life don't apply to them. Aiden has always been a part of the Goldens. That's what Nicole and I used to call Ben and Whitney back in the day. Small-town life doesn't vary even if you change states. Just like them, Aiden was born with a golden ticket in his hands and every sense of entitlement that goes with it. There's no sense in arguing with him. Besides, none of that helps Nicole, and she's the one I really care about. What did Nicole do when she found out?
What do you mean? She doesn't know about any of it.
His face goes white.
Can you imagine what that would do to her?
The new information throttles me. Are you sure? He ferociously shakes his head.
Absolutely, she had no idea.
What if she found out and didn't tell you that she found out?
There's no way. Do you really think she could have kept that to herself?
Everything spins and blurs, like my mind is on a tilt-a-whirl. How is that possible? If Nicole didn't find out about his cheating, then what caused her breakdown? Aiden rushes to me and takes both my hands in his.
You're not going to tell her, are you? Please, Crystal, you can't tell her. Not now.
I don't know what I'm going to do. Nothing adds up. There are too many holes, too many pieces that don't fit in the puzzle.
Please, Crystal.
He squeezes my hands. His eyes fill with tears again.
I can't live without her, and she can't live without me either. This would devastate her. It'd wreck any chance I have of her coming back to me.
He drops one of my hands and points to his face.
Look at this. I don't even know how I'm going to get her to recognize me when I look like a monster. And if she finds out the things I did, I'll lose her forever.
Tears spill down his cheeks. He flinches and lets out a yelp as the salt in the tears stings his wounds. He goes into the bathroom and grabs a handful of towels to blot his face, but quickly changes his mind and doesn't bring them up to his skin. We wait in silence while the tears air dry.
I've learned my lesson. I swear. I'm done. Never again. You have my word.
His face is serious. His jaw set in a straight line.
Haven't I been punished enough?
I don't know what to do. I have to go. I just have to go. I can't look at his face. Part of me can't help but think he's right. He's scarred for life.
Please don't go.
He reaches for my arm, but I'm already gone. I sit in my living room, staring at my laptop on the coffee table like I've been doing for the last hour, but the screen has long gone black. I couldn't bring myself to talk to Nicole about Aiden today. More of her was back, but barely, only little pieces. It's like she's peeking out from behind a curtain, and if I overwhelm her, I'm afraid it'll snap shut. I pet Hobbs while I think, wishing I had someone to process all this with, but Nicole's the only person I ever go to when things are tough. She's my person. A knock at the front door startles me. Nobody buzzed from the lobby downstairs, and I'm not expecting anyone. I get up and peer through the peephole. Aiden stands outside. Someone must have let him in. I hate when other tenants do that. I should have known he'd show up here. He's been texting me nonstop since I left him in his room earlier, but I never responded. I don't know what to say because I still don't know what I'm going to do. I reluctantly open the door and motion him inside. He lets out a deep sigh of relief.
Thanks for letting me in. I had to talk to you.
He walks into the living room, but he doesn't sit. He paces back and forth in the small space. It's the strangest feeling being alone with him in my house. Not that we've never been alone in my house before, because we have, lots of times. It's just that Nicole was always in the other room, or about to walk in the door at any given moment. Hobbs immediately darts off to hide underneath the bookshelf upstairs, where he'll stay until Aiden leaves. He hates visitors. The awkwardness stretches out between Aiden and me. "Do you want a glass of wine?" I ask. It's a Wednesday night, and I rarely drink on weekdays because I don't want to risk a morning headache, but I can't get through this conversation without a glass of wine. I'm not sure Aiden can either. He's sweating a lot again, and his putrid smell fills my condo as he trails after me into the kitchen. I open a bottle of Prosecco and pour us each a glass. He looks grateful as he takes it from me and slides onto one of the bar stools at the island. It's a relief having him sit still.
Cheers.
He raises his glass with his good hand. I raise mine without saying anything, then take a sip while he drains half his glass. "Sorry I don't have whiskey," I say. He's a whiskey drinker, but I don't drink anything except wine, so that's what I have in the house. I only stock up when I'm having people over. But I can't remember the last time I had someone over besides Nicole.
I don't mind at all,
he says as he takes another drink. And I follow suit, the familiar sweetness coating my throat. I slide onto the other bar stool next to him. We stare at the stainless steel refrigerator across from us. The front of it is covered with tacky magnets from all the places Nicole and I have traveled over the years. We took our first real vacation during our freshman year in college. We went to Pensacola, and were so broke once we got there that we couldn't afford any real souvenirs. So we had a competition to see who could find the tackiest magnet to take back and put on our dorm refrigerator. The tradition stuck. And over the years, no matter where we go, we bring home the ugliest one we can find. The top spot is currently held by the Vegas shot glass with ice cube boobs that we got 2 years ago when Aiden insisted on taking Nicole and me to Vegas for the weekend. He couldn't believe we'd never been, since it was one of his favorite places, and was determined to give us the best time even though we didn't want to go. He promised to show us the city in a way nobody else could. His eyes travel through the souvenirs too, stepping back in time. My phone vibrates in my pocket. He traces his fingertips on top of the wine glass.
Did you tell her?
That's the big question filling the room. The only reason he really came to see me. No. He reaches to hug me, but I push him back. Don't.
Thank you, Crystal. Oh my God, thank you so much. You have no idea how happy I am to hear that.
He gushes, his excitement spilling over. Not telling her wasn't because of you. Believe me, it had nothing to do with you. I snap. I didn't tell her because she even seemed better today than she was yesterday. She's starting to have moments of lucidity. Being off the meds is working magic, and I think all the groups on the unit are helping her too. I didn't want to set her back, that's all. I don't want him to get any ideas that I'm aligned with him. That couldn't be further from the truth. I don't know what I'm going to do about telling Nicole, but I do know what I'm going to do with him. He's done. After tonight, we don't need to have another conversation. Look, Aiden, I think it's in her best interest if you just leave her alone for a while. Give her time to heal. My phone buzzes again in my pocket, and this time I pull it out to check. I've missed 2 calls from Detective Sparks. He left me a voice message on the last one. Just as I'm about to speak again, my phone lights up with another call from him. He's never called me so many times in a row. My gut clenches and my heart speeds up. Can you give me a second? I have to take this call, I say without giving Aiden a chance to answer. I get up and make my way down the hallway to my bedroom while Detective Sparks leaves another message. My nerves jump wildly as I shut the door behind me and put the phone to my ear to listen to his first voicemail.
Hey, Crystal, this is Detective Sparks. I need to talk to you about Aiden. Some serious issues have come up with him in the investigation. I need you to give me a call as soon as possible, okay? As soon as possible.
There's an urgency in his voice that's never been there before. I immediately call him back, and he answers before the end of the second ring. He doesn't bother saying hello.
Crystal, are you with Aiden?
What? His question takes me by surprise. Who told him Aiden was here?
Are you with Aiden?
You can't just... He interrupts me.
Crystal, I don't have time for this. Neither do you.
He's frantic, hurried. He sounds like he's driving.
Aiden has been discharged from the hospital, and he's supposed to be staying at the Old Road Inn, but when we went there to talk to him, he wasn't there. I thought he might be with you.
This time I'm the one to interrupt. Why are you so worried about Aiden?
Listen, Crystal, I need you to trust me on this, okay? You just have to trust me. Can you do that?
I mean, I guess, yes, but what are you talking about?
Where are you?
I'm at my house.
Is he there with you?
He just stopped by. He hasn't been here long. I add in case that matters.
There's a strong possibility that Nicole has a good reason to be afraid of Aiden.
He clears his throat.
Aiden might be a murderer, and if he's in your house, then I need you to get out of there now, or get him out. Whatever you have to do, just stay away from him until we can bring him in for questioning.
He's talking too fast. He needs to slow down. I can't keep up. My knees go weak. I stumble backward onto my bed, taking a seat on the edge to steady myself. What? I don't understand.
We've been looking into Aiden's affairs with other women, and today we learned that Aiden was having an affair with Marie Davenport.
He says it like I should know who he's talking about, but my mind draws a blank. Who?
Marie Davenport, the woman from Cambria who was found murdered in the Walmart parking lot 3 weeks ago.
His description immediately jars my memory. I didn't remember the name, but I remember the story. It was brutal. The poor woman had been stabbed twice in the stomach and bled out next to her car in the middle of a parking lot, without anyone noticing anything. They found her body next to her bag of groceries, a puddle of spilled milk at her feet. Her car was parked too far away and out of the sight of any security cameras in the parking lot for anyone to see the attack. They didn't have any good leads on her killer, and the news anchors ran nightly stories for an entire week warning women to carry mace whenever they were alone at night or by themselves. Suddenly, I'm instantly aware of Aiden's presence in my house, that I'm not alone. "Are they sure?" I whisper as I strain to hear if he's still in the kitchen or if he's moved to somewhere else in the house.
That he killed her or that he was having an affair with her? Both. He was definitely having an affair with her. And he was with her the night she died. He's on hotel cameras going in and out of her room. He might have been the last person to see her alive.
He's still talking fast. He hasn't slowed down. He needs to slow down.
We discovered the connection between them this morning, and we considered the possibility that Nicole might have been involved, but all that went out the window when we learned that he has a history of violence against women. We subpoenaed all his business accounts, and they arrived yesterday. We found a large payment made to a personal account last year, and traced the account to a woman in Maryland. Aiden met her on an anonymous affair website, and she filed a police report against him after he allegedly choked her when she threatened to tell Nicole about their relationship. I spoke with her this evening, and she sounds like a credible witness. Everything she says checked out too. She dropped the charges and her threats after Aiden paid her $25,000 to keep quiet about it all. I've got a copy of the check deposit from her bank on my passenger seat.
My tongue sticks to the roof of my mouth. I can't swallow.
He wouldn't.
He couldn't. But up until yesterday morning, I would have bet my life on his being faithful to Nicole. My eyes are fixed on my bedroom door. I didn't lock it. I never lock it. I should get up and lock it.
Crystal, are you still there?
Detective Sparks' voice reminds me that I'm still on the phone.
Yes,
I whisper into the phone. Not because I think Aiden will hear me, but because I'm too terrified to talk.
You need to get him out of there, Crystal. He's dangerous.
Just then, Aiden's voice calls out from down the hallway.
Hey, Crystal?
I have to go. I end the call without waiting for a response. I stuff my phone into my back pocket like Aiden might come through the door at any second, and I don't want him to know I've been talking to Detective Sparks. My eyes scan the room for a weapon, coming to land on my lamp. I jump to get it, then quickly stop myself. What am I doing? This is Aiden we're talking about. In the next instant, I realize I don't know anything about him. His affairs change everything, and he might as well be an alien. If he could live that kind of a double life, then he's capable of anything, right? Does that include murder? A brutal murder? What if it does? Oh my God, what if it does?
Crystal?
Aiden calls again. His footsteps are coming down the hallway.
Is everything okay? Did something happen with Nicole?
Everything's fine, I'm in the bathroom, I yell, trying to make myself sound farther away so that I can buy myself time to think. It was just an emergency with one of my clients, but Mark is taking care of it. Everything is spinning. Nicole started losing touch with reality a few days after Marie Davenport was stabbed. Was it because she found out Aiden killed her? I cover my mouth with my hand. I keep trying to swallow, but there's no spit. I can't breathe. These walls are paper thin. What if he heard me talking to Detective Sparks? What if he knows that I know? I just have to go out there and ask him to leave. He can't be here, not a second longer. I force myself to move into the bathroom. I stick my head underneath the faucet and take a huge drink. I don't look in the mirror as I splash cold water on my face. I pull open my cabinet drawers and rummage through them, looking for something sharp. My only option is my nail tweezers. They're not much, but they'll hurt if I stab his eyes with them. I dry my face on the towel and take another 3 deep breaths to steady my racing heart. I crack my bedroom door and peek out. There's a clear view all the way through to the living room and the front door. He's standing at the end of the hallway with his back turned to me, swaying side to side like he's trying to rock himself. What am I doing? Aiden's not a murderer. But that doesn't stop me from gripping the tweezers in my hand as I walk down the hallway toward him. I stop halfway, keeping plenty of distance between us. I think it's time for you to leave. It takes great control to keep my tone even and calm. He turns around immediately at the sound of my voice. He takes a step toward me, then stops.
Are you okay? He asks. You look pale.
I'm fine, just tired. I don't break my gaze. Don't let him smell the fear. It's been such a long day, and I really need to go to bed. He stares at me, and I force myself to maintain eye contact.
Can we talk tomorrow?
Sure, I say quickly, nodding my agreement, hoping he doesn't see through me, but I can't read him. His eyes are tunnels without leads to follow. He settles something within himself and straightens up, heading to the door. My knees tremble while I walk. I follow behind him to the door like I always do, so nothing seems unusual. He just needs to get out of my house.
Thanks again for not telling Nicole.
I nod and open the door for him without saying a word. He throws a backward glance at me before heading out, and I force a smile. I turn the deadbolt as soon as he's gone and punch in my security code. I insisted on having my own security system in my unit, even though the building already has one. I let out a huge sigh of relief as I lock myself inside, because the other thing I know about people like Aiden is that they don't do well when they're caught. Dr. McGowan has said again and again that there's always a part of psychosis that's grounded in truth. And all I can think about as I stare at the locks on my door is that Nicole called Aiden a murderer. Maybe she's been right all along. It wouldn't be the first time she's tried to make a murderer pay for their sins.
30. Nicole. Then. I straddle Veronica on the bed, gripping the pillow with both hands and smashing it over her face. Her screams are muffled as she kicks and flails her arms wildly, struggling against me. She's way stronger than I imagined, but she's no match for me. I wrestle with her body like I do the young bucks and press my forearm to her chest to keep her down. Alice giggles and claps behind me. She can't breathe. She's totally suffocating. Veronica scratches and claws at me, connecting with any part of my body she can reach. I try to block the blows, but some of them connect, landing on my face, my chest, my arms. It's a struggle keeping her down. She twists and turns, bucking her hips and throwing me off balance. I stumble, loosening my hold. The pillow slips off her face. "Mama!" Her scream is raspy, desperate. She tries to scramble off the bed, but I shove her back down. "Stop it!" I yell, sobbing at the same time. I grab the pillow and fight against her as I try to press it on her again. She moves her head side to side, making it difficult. "Please, Nicole, please, I'm sorry. Finish it." I grab her hair with one hand, snapping her head back on the bed while my other hand grips the pillow. "Do it!" I let out a sob as I smush the pillow on her again, but I don't have a choice. Tears stream down my face. Snot bubbles from my nose. Veronica kicks her legs at me. Her arms flail everywhere, swatting at me, but I don't let go. I can't let go. One of her fists connects with my face, but I hold tight. "What are you doing?" Crystal's voice cuts into the room. She grabs me from behind and throws me off Veronica. I stumble backward, crashing into the nightstand next to her bed. The lamp topples to the floor. Veronica rolls off the bed and collapses on the floor, choking and gasping for breath. She gags and dry heaves onto the carpet. She does it again. Crystal steps over her and grabs me, yanking me off the floor. She puts her hands on my shoulders and shakes me. "What are you doing, Nicole? What the hell are you doing?" I can hardly speak through my heaving sobs. "Alice told me to do it. I didn't want to do it, Crystal, I swear. I didn't want to. But she said she'd hurt you if I didn't. I couldn't let her hurt you." She releases me and steps back like she's in a trance. Something strange comes over her eyes. She kneels down next to Veronica and puts her arm around her. "Are you okay?" she asks. Veronica points a shaking finger at me. Crazy bitch. Crystal? Please, Crystal, you have to understand. She said she'd hurt you if I didn't make Veronica pay. She said she had to pay. Please, I didn't have a choice. I grab her arm and she flinches, pulling away from me like I'm going to hurt her, but I'd never hurt Crystal. Never. She doesn't understand. Why doesn't she understand? This was all for her. I had to keep her safe from Alice. I was trying to protect you. I just wanted to protect you. Mrs. Wheeler flings open the door and thunders into the room. She takes in the scene in one quick swoop before rushing over to help Veronica on the floor. What's going on in here? She demands as she brings Veronica next to her. She tried to kill me, Mama. She tried to suffocate me with a pillow, Veronica says breathlessly. Tears stream down her face. The front of her white nightgown is drenched in sweat. It almost worked. Next time, it's going to. Shut up! Be quiet! I hiss out of the corner of my mouth. You do what I say now. I'm the boss, remember? Do I have to remind you what happens if you don't? Mrs. Wheeler whips around to look at me. Who are you talking to? I freeze. Don't speak. Don't move. Don't let anything come out. She turns to Crystal, pointing at me. Who is she talking to? Crystal frantically shakes her head. Nothing. Don't worry about it. She wasn't talking to anybody. Mrs. Wheeler gets up and takes a step in my direction. Ugly fat mama whore, say it! I cover my ears with both hands. Say it! What's wrong with you? Mrs. Wheeler asks, towering over me and peering at me with bulging, angry eyes. Bug Eyes Beetlejuice. Alice giggles. I hate her giggle more than her voice. Stop! My scream shatters the air. Crystal rushes to my side, putting her body between mine and Mrs. Wheeler's. What's wrong with her? Mrs. Wheeler points her question to Crystal. Bugs are moving on my insides, crawling inside and out of me like I'm dead grass. I need to move. Run. Run until it's done. Make her say she's sorry. That's all she wants. But I can't give her what she wants. Not until the nighttime passes. She's crazy. That's what's wrong with her, Veronica yells, rising to her feet. She came into my room, Mama. She came all the way into my room and tried to kill me while you were sleeping. She's a sick monster. Something's wrong with her. She was talking to Alice. She was. I heard her. Did you try to kill my baby? Mrs. Wheeler's eyes are slits as she locks eyes with Crystal. Crystal stands trembling in front of me. Not Crystal, Mama, just Nicole. Crystal tried to save me. Mrs. Wheeler flings Crystal aside. You're gone, you little monster. She smacks me hard across the face. Crystal catches me as I stumble backward from the impact. Tonight is the last night you spend under my roof.
31. Crystal. Adrenaline and caffeine fuel me as I hold back the urge to sprint down the hospital corridor to the elevator. It's before 8, but Eric called and got permission for me to be on the unit this early to talk to Nicole. He also made sure that Aiden isn't allowed anywhere near her, and all the staff have been put on alert in case he tries to sneak onto the unit. Eric is in court all day, and it couldn't be worse timing given all that's happening, but he promised his partner would be available to help with any issues that come up. Detective Sparks and the investigators are bringing Aiden in for questioning today. And not about Nicole. Aiden is officially a person of interest in Marie Davenport's murder. I scoured the internet last night for information connecting the two of them, but came up empty-handed. I found her social media accounts, but they were all set to private, so the information was limited to her profile pics and basic information. The profile pics were useless since they weren't of her face, and all her page would tell me was that she was divorced and lived in northern Texas. She was a manager at an IT company and, from what I could gather, kept mostly to herself and traveled a lot. She was in Westchester on business. I couldn't find anything about her that the news hadn't already discovered and reported. Aiden texted me non-stop until after 3 a.m, even though I never responded.
Thank you so much for not telling Nicole today. Seriously, it meant a lot to me. I hope you're feeling better. We'll get through this.
And the one that made my skin crawl.
#FamilyForever.
That's when I turned his notifications off. I went through all my texts and phone history last night to see if there was anything I missed the first time around. Nicole and I FaceTimed the day of Marie Davenport's murder, and Nicole seemed perfectly fine. She was going to the doctor's office and having lunch afterward with one of her students, who was home from college on summer break. She even invited me to join, but I was too busy preparing for trial. She never would have done that if something was wrong. There were no signs of anything amiss, and I know what to look for. It took me years to stop watching her like a hawk for any sign of her mental health slipping. Just because we agreed not to talk about Alice ever again didn't mean I didn't examine Nicole for the slightest indication that she'd popped back into Nicole's life. There's no way she'd known about Aiden and Marie. The break had to have happened after. Did she find out Aiden was having an affair or that he was a murderer? Could it have been both? Nicole is in the community room waiting for me when I get onto the unit, and she gets up at the sight of me. She gives me a huge hug when I reach her. Her body feels stronger against mine. "You look pretty awful," she says, and it's the first time she's noticed anything about me since she got to the hospital. It's so good to slowly be getting her back. I didn't sleep at all last night. I jumped at every sound, convinced every creak or strange noise was Aiden breaking into my condo. It didn't make any logical sense, since my condo is on the 2nd floor and he'd have to get buzzed in at the lobby first or scale the building to get to me. But it didn't stop the fear. I tossed and turned for hours before finally giving up on the idea of sleep at 3. We take our seats at the table. Her eyes flit around the room. I nod a quick hello to Derek before turning my attention back to Nicole. I'll be happy when she gets rid of her shadow. Dr. McGowan said it should be soon, maybe even today. I pull my chair closer to hers so that he can't overhear. Are you remembering anything else? A little bit, but not really. Nothing is in order or together. It's hard to explain. Her forehead lines with concentration, like she's admonishing herself to think harder, but coming up short. She shifts in her chair to face me. I think I might remember parts about the night of the fire, though. Like, I remember the smoke and how hard it was to breathe. And coughing. Lots of coughing. She pauses for a second, her eyes scanning the room to make sure nobody is listening. And there's this strange image I kept seeing while I was falling asleep last night, of me pushing the desk in the entryway in front of our bedroom door. Isn't that weird? My stomach rolls. Part of me is still holding out hope that it's all a mistake, despite how the facts are lining up. Her happily ever after was partly mine, too, and it's all been stripped away. The desk was pushed against the bedroom door to keep Aiden inside. There's no use keeping the truth from her. Her eyes grow wide with horror. Did I try to kill him? I think you did, I say, as the full reality crashes over us like a heavy wave. She brings her hand up to her mouth. Oh my God, why would I do that? Because Aiden is a disgusting pig and an entitled man that hurts women to get them to behave, but I can't say that. It will crush her. Eventually the full story will come out, but now isn't the time. One step at a time. I don't know. There's not anything else you remember? Her memory is delicate, and I don't want to plant any false ideas. Confusion wrinkles her expression as she tries to pull memories from somewhere deep in her brain and put the pieces together. No, just the yelling and the screaming that I was telling you about yesterday. The other patients start filing into the room, and a cafeteria worker arrives with the breakfast cart. The rustle of activity throws off her concentration for a second. You need to eat, I remind her, feeling silly for bringing up food at a time like this. but she's going to need her strength to get through this. We can talk while you eat. She gets her tray and brings it to the table. She sets it down in front of her but doesn't take any of the covers off the food. She takes a small sip of the orange juice. I reach over and uncover her main plate. There are 2 pancakes, scrambled eggs, and a small fruit bowl, but she turns her nose up at it and puts the cover back on. "And you're sure Aiden didn't hurt you?" Her eyes get that faraway look in them again, and I want to crawl inside her head to see what's there, pull out the important parts, and put together the pieces of her fractured psyche. "I don't think so," she says, like she's not sure. "I guess he could have, though. Anything could have happened." Her lower lip quivers. She looks like she's going to break into tears at any second. "What's going to happen to me?" "You're going to do like you've always done," I say with determination. "You're going to get through this and rebuild a new life. A different one, a better one." The tears flood her cheeks. "But this was my new life. I loved my life." My heart breaks for her all over again. I take her into my arms and hold her against me. She cries silently on my chest, and I don't let her go until the tears pass. We sit staring at her food once she's finished, trying to wrap our brains around what to do next. But I don't have a plan. I've never not had a plan. A hand grips my shoulder from behind as I open my car door in the hospital parking lot. I turn around, coming face to face with Aiden. I smash into the door behind me, flattening myself against it, but I'm trapped. "Get away from me before I scream," I say, frantically looking around to see if anyone is close. Where are the parking lot cameras? Are they getting this? Something hard presses into my side.
"No, you're not. You're going to get in the car and not say a word."
He's got a gun. Aiden has a gun. My bowels almost release onto the concrete. Blood rushes through my head, my pulse pounds. Scream, yell, kick, do something, anything. I'm frozen to my spot.
"Get in!"
He hisses, pushing the gun against me to move me into the car. My head spins. Someone has to be watching. It's broad daylight. Help me. I want to yell, but the words can't get past my lips.
"Don't make this any more difficult than it needs to be. I don't want to hurt you, Crystal."
His voice is even, calm. I'm shaking so hard my teeth chatter. I can't feel my legs. He gives me a shove, and I stumble into the driver's seat.
"Give me your keys,"
he orders. I've never heard him speak like this before. My keys? Don't give him my keys. Where are they? He grabs my wrist and forces my fingers open, revealing the fob in my hand. He takes it from my palm.
"Move over. I'm driving,"
he says, like we're going on one of our Sunday afternoon drives in the country. I scramble over to the passenger side while he slides into the driver's seat. I grab the handle and ram my shoulder against my door, trying to get away, but he's locked it with the fob. He grabs my arm and yanks me back.
"Don't even think about it. Please don't be difficult, Crystal."
"Don't be difficult? You have a gun!" I shriek, finding my voice at last. Terror pulses through every word.
"Would you be in this car with me otherwise?"
he asks as he puts the car into reverse and pulls out of the parking lot. He keeps his eyes focused on the road. One hand grips the wheel, the other hand holds the gun on his thigh. I can't take my eyes off it. When did Aiden get a gun? My heart races. Pulse pounds. Everything moves in slow motion as we make our way onto the street. I want to yell or scream for help, but the gun keeps me quiet and in my place. Everything I've ever been taught about self-defense or what to do in this situation flies out of my head. "Where are we going? Where are you taking me?" I cry, sounding like a little girl. He says nothing. His eyes remain on the road. He's in the same clothes he was wearing when he left my house last night, which means he's probably been up all night. He works his jaw like a meth addict on a binge. His face is clammy with sweat. His dank smell fills the car, mixing with the scent of my fear. He takes a left out of the hospital complex and proceeds down Fifth Avenue until he gets to the second light. A right would take him in the direction of my house, but he makes another left instead.
Aiden, stop. Where are we going? Where are you taking me?
I ask again, like maybe he didn't hear me the first time, but he ignores me the second time too. Could I jump out of the car? Should I pitch myself out the next time he stops? What if I break the window? We're moving down the street like nothing is wrong, and I want to bang on the windows for someone to help me, but I can't take the chance. He's already killed one woman.
Whatever you're doing, Aiden, you don't have to do it. There are other ways, I say, starting to cry. Please, let's just talk about it.
He shakes his head.
I tried talking to you last night, but you wouldn't listen. This is the only way to get you to listen.
I ferociously shake my head.
No, that's not true. I want to hear what you have to say. You didn't have to do this. You don't have to do this.
He lets out a sinister laugh.
Don't treat me like I'm dumb.
I break into heaving sobs. I can't help myself. They come in huge hiccuping waves. My entire body trembles. I want to throw up. We drive on in silence. It doesn't take me long to figure out we're headed toward his and Nicole's house. He makes the turns down the necessary blocks until he pulls up in front of their 2-story colonial. The yellow police tape still encircles the property.
Here's how it's going to go.
He shuts the car off and turns to me.
You're going to get out of this car without saying a word and come with me into the house. If you scream or do anything,
he lifts the gun from his thigh.
I'm pulling the trigger.
He opens the door, and I'm shaking so hard I can barely walk up the driveway. He puts his arm around me and helps me to the house like I'm sick or hurt and too weak to make it on my own. I should bite his arm, kick out his legs, scratch his eyes out. But I do nothing because of the gun. All I can think about is the gun. He tucked it into the back of the waistband of his jeans like he's been packing for years. Who is this man? He moves my body into the house. I don't dare look over my shoulders, but I'm hoping their busybody neighbor, Edith, is watching out of her living room window. They've complained about her since they moved in because she's in everyone's business. Please let her be peeking through the windows now. This doesn't look normal. It can't look normal. Please let her call the police. Dread fills me as Aiden closes the front door behind him and blocks it with his body. Their house is as familiar to me as mine, but now it's like walking onto another planet. Nothing feels familiar. Most of the furniture has been removed since I was here. The pungent smell of sulfur fills my nostrils and turns my stomach. It's everywhere, clinging to me as I try to breathe.
I hope you know that I didn't want to do this, but you didn't leave me any other choice.
Anger burns my insides. How dare he make this about me?
You always have a choice,
I snap.
Let's go upstairs.
He motions to the stairs, but I refuse to move. I'm not going anywhere with him.
Why are you doing this, Aiden?
He ignores my question and pushes me to the stairs.
Move.
Aiden, please, no! I cry, terrified that if I go up those stairs, I'll never come back down.
Please, it's me. I'm not going to hurt you. I was never going to hurt you. I just needed to get you here. It was the only way I could talk to you. Make you see what needs to be done.
I don't believe him. If that were the case, then why is he still holding on to me so tightly? Why is the barrel of the gun pressed against my back?
Then let me go,
I say. He shakes his head.
I can't do that. You can, Aiden. This doesn't have to get any worse. You don't understand, Crystal.
Then make me understand.
Okay, but you have to come upstairs. I need to show you something, and then I'll tell you everything, but you have to come upstairs.
He shoves me forward.
Don't make this hard.
His presence looms behind me as we go upstairs. I could kick him backward, send him flying down the stairs, but I would still have to hurdle him and make it out the door without him catching me. He's in much better shape, and I don't stand a chance at beating him to the door, even if I do catch him off guard and send him flying down the stairs. I trudge up as cold fear settles into the pit of my stomach. The smell of smoke grows stronger and stronger as we reach the landing. The door to their master bedroom is gone, and I see right through into the charred remains. He doesn't take us into the bedroom, but moves us down the hallway on the left to the guest bedroom, the one I sleep in whenever I stay overnight. I picked out the platform bed frame and the anthropology drapes. He throws me into the bedroom and slams the door behind me before I have a chance to react. He grunts as he moves something in front of the door to lock me inside. I race to the windows and scan outside, still not giving up hope that Edith spotted us and called the police because we looked suspicious. "Help! Help!" I beat on the window with my fists. The street is silent and empty below me. Everyone's tucked into their houses, but it won't be long until someone walks down the sidewalk. Their neighborhood is always filled with joggers and people taking walks since their community is so beautiful. I keep scanning the street for any sign of life. Aiden returns within seconds. He grabs me and pulls me away from the window.
What are you doing?
He asks, like it isn't obvious. I glare at him. He's holding a beat-up cardboard box that he hands to me.
Here.
I don't want to take it, but I don't have a choice.
Open it.
He says as I stand holding it like it's a bomb that might go off any second. I shake my head.
Do it.
His eyes bore into me as I lift the top flaps, my hands shaking with fear. The inside is filled with old notebook papers and newspaper clippings. All of them are worn and wrinkled. I raise my eyes to meet his.
Just look through it,
he says, and then purses his lips in a straight line. I slowly walk to the bed and set the box on it, never taking my eyes off him. I pull out the newspaper clipping on top of the pile. The edges are torn. The print is faded and blurry, but there's no mistaking the headline. 16-year-old Vernon girl dies in farm accident. My stomach leaps into my throat.
I know all about you two,
he says as I raise my eyes to meet his.
32. Nicole. Then. Crystal jiggles my arm, and I snap awake. She puts her fingers to her lips and points to the window. She hands me the clothes I wore yesterday. "Hurry," she mouths. I quietly move out of bed and take my clothes from her. I slip out of my pajamas and into my jeans. She hands me my backpack when I'm done. Hers is strapped to her back. She's serious and focused as she tugs open our bedroom window and motions for me to go first. I hop through easily, and she tumbles out next. She pulls the window down when she's through, clicking it shut behind her. "Hey, you just..." But my words stop as I realize what's happening. We're not going back inside, so it doesn't matter that she just locked us out. She gives me a knowing look before taking off across the grass. I hurry along after her, shooting glances over my shoulder to see if Veronica or Mrs. Wheeler is following us, straining for the sound of Alice waking up. She's still sleeping, thank God. I enjoy the moments when she's not yammering in my ear. "Where are we going?" I whisper, as we make our way across the yard. She doesn't look at me, or answer. Just marches down to the driveway and heads to Mrs. Wheeler's red Ford truck. My eyes widen in shock and surprise. We've never stolen the truck. We've talked about it plenty of times, but we've never done it. We've been hot-wiring tractors for years, though, so hopefully all the practice pays off. She opens the driver's side door and tosses her backpack inside the cab. I chuck mine in with hers. I'm expecting to crouch next to the steering column and twist the wires together since I'm better at hot wiring than her, but Crystal pulls the keys out of her jean shorts pocket. She holds them up in front of me. "You got the keys?" I ask. She nods. "But we're not starting the truck until we get to the road. I don't want them to hear it and wake up before we're out of here." "Then what are we going to do?" "We're going to put it in neutral and push it." "Ourselves?" She nods. "All the way down the driveway?" She nods again. Our driveway is almost a quarter-mile long. That's like pushing a truck 3 football fields. I don't know how we're going to do it with only the two of us, since someone needs to steer while the other pushes and the truck is super heavy. But I step inside the driver's seat anyway, because I don't want to waste time. Crystal moves to the front of the truck and places both her hands on the hood. She braces herself, ready to push. I adjust the wheel so it's easier to keep the truck on the driveway and moving backward in a straight line. I press my foot on the clutch and shift the truck into neutral. With one hand on the wheel and the other on the door to keep it open, I step out of the pickup to help push. I nod at Crystal, and together we shove it backward. The truck makes a small lurch, then starts slowly rolling backward. Thankfully, our driveway is on a slope. Our pace is painstakingly slow. I have to keep getting back in the truck to straighten the wheel and keep it in neutral. We're covered in sweat within minutes. Crystal's forehead is lined with exertion. We're nearing the end of the driveway and almost ready to get in when Veronica steps out of the shadows. "What are you doing?" she demands, even though it's obvious. I freeze in place. My hands clutch the wheel. I lock eyes with Crystal. Her eyes are terror-filled. We almost made it. Hope sinks in my chest. Veronica places her hands on her hips and shakes her head. "You're not going anywhere." "We're leaving," Crystal says, at the same time as me. Veronica shakes her head. "Absolutely not. I'm telling Mama that you're leaving and stealing the truck." "Go ahead," I say, pointing to the house in the distance. "By the time you get there, we'll be long gone." I'm not sure about that. She's a slow runner, and we'll be in the truck driving by then. But Mrs. Wheeler will call the police. We won't get far if that happens. Before I have time to think, Crystal rushes around the truck and jumps in on the passenger side. She grabs me and pulls me into the truck with her. She sticks the key in the ignition while I slam my door. "Drive!" Crystal yells. I put the truck in first gear and turn the key. The engine roars to life. Veronica runs to the back of the truck and stands in the middle of the driveway, blocking our path. She spreads her arms out wide, making herself as big as possible. "What do I do? What do I do?" I ask, frantically looking in the rearview mirror filled with Veronica's face and outstretched arms. "Just go!" I twist the steering wheel, making a sharp right and whipping it around. Veronica grabs the tailgate and jumps in the truck bed. She holds onto the sides as I make the full circle and peel out onto the driveway. I make a quick right at the end of it. My hands clutch the wheel and I slam the gas pedal to the floor. The truck thunders down the gravel road. "What are we going to do, Crystal?" I shriek, flicking on the headlights before I hit anything. "Shit, shit, shit!" Crystal punches the dashboard. "Push her out. Get out there and push her out." "I'm not pushing her out!" I yell. "I didn't tell you to push her out!" Crystal cries, but I'm not talking to her. Gravel crunches underneath our tires as we pass the Pattersons' farm. I swerve to avoid a raccoon, narrowly missing the ditch before pitching us back onto the road. Shadows dance across the headlights. "Where am I going? What am I doing?" I scream as we fly down the road. "Turn left!" Crystal screeches. Veronica stands in the back, gripping onto the cab with one hand as she tries to work the rear windows to slide them open so that she can crawl in with us. "She's trying to get inside!" "Just turn!" Crystal yells. "Push her out! Push her out! Push her out! Stop it!" I scream, slamming on the brakes, making the truck skid and fishtail wildly. Veronica's body hurtles over the windshield, crashes onto the hood, and tumbles onto the road as we come to a screeching halt. "Ah!" Crystal howls. "Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god!" I pound the steering wheel with my hands. But Crystal's frozen in place. She's gotten us this far, but she's stuck. I fling open the metal door and step outside the truck. Dust from the gravel is kicked up everywhere. My headlights shine down the empty road. Veronica's face down on the road, arms straight out in front of her. I walk slowly toward her. Shouldn't she be moaning or crying out? "Please don't let her be dead. Please don't let her be dead, I whisper, waiting for Alice to yell in my ear. But she's silent. I kneel next to her. Veronica? Her body is still, motionless. I wiggle her shoulder. Veronica? I say it louder. Nothing. I gingerly take her head and turn it to the side, terrified to look, but I have to help her. The skin on her right cheek is stripped raw, the dark pink flesh pitted with dirt. Gravel is shoved up her nose. Her lower lip is gone. Blood drains from both ears, but it's her eyes that send ice-cold shock through my body. I know the look in her eyes. It's the same one in Alice's the night she died. Crystal steps into the light. Her eyes are wide and panicked. She reads the fear in my face. Her breath comes in ragged bursts. She crouches next to me, feeling along Veronica's neck for a pulse. I put my hand up to my mouth. What did I do? I burst into an anguished sob. What did I do? I clutch my stomach, doubled over. Crystal jumps to her feet. Nothing. You didn't do anything, Nicole. She's still breathing. I drop to my knees and put my fingers on her neck in the same way Crystal just did. There's a faint pulse underneath my fingertips. We have to get her help. My eyes scan the darkness. The truck engine roars behind us. We have to get out of here, Crystal says, eyes wide. But we can't do that. She needs help. She might die if we leave her here. My head is spinning. There's a ringing in my ears that won't stop. My heartbeat pounds in my chest. We can't stay, Nicole. Nobody is ever going to believe that this was an accident. Another accident in such a short time? Think about it. They'll pin Alice's death on us. Mrs. Wheeler will make sure of it, and she'll make them think we tried to kill Veronica too. You know she will. She's probably already called the police, and if she hasn't, she's going to as soon as she finds out we stole the truck. She'll never believe us. Nobody will. The mention of Mrs. Wheeler fills me with new terror and adrenaline. She could be right behind us on the ATV. What if she brings the shotgun? Crystal, go. Get out of here. I point to the driver's seat in the truck. We'll get her off the road together, and then you leave. Run away from this place. I'll wait for help to come. What? No. She shakes her head like a mad dog. I won't leave you here. Absolutely not. You're coming with me. I don't want anybody else to die. Please, just go. I clutch my sides as my shoulders shake with sobs. There's been enough pain. No more. Crystal puts her arm around my shoulders. Exactly. No more. It's over and we're leaving. We're going to get Veronica off the road and then we're going to get back inside the cab and drive. We're going to drive until we can't drive any further, and this... She makes a swooping motion behind her. It's done. It's over. Do you hear me, Nicole? It's over. I'm crying so hard I can barely breathe. I just want it to be over. All of it. Please let it be over. I'm sobbing too hard to talk, so I nod my consent instead. Crystal locks eyes with me, and we work together without speaking, like we've done thousands of times over the years. Every second matters. Our thoughts meld into one as Crystal grabs Veronica's ankles, and I move to take both her wrists, but stop short because one of them is definitely broken. It's bent, and a bone protrudes through the skin. Bile rises in my throat, and I swallow it down. I take one of her wrists and grab the other arm by her elbow. 1, 2, 3. Crystal counts down, and we lift her mangled body off the gravel. She swings in our hands, dead weight. We almost drop her. We carry her across the road in shuffling steps and over to the shoulder. We walk a few paces into the ditch, making sure she's far enough away from the road so that there's no chance of a car hitting her, but not in the ditch where nobody can see her, before Crystal nods at me to lay her down. I'm careful and cautious as we lower her body to the ground so we don't hurt her any more than she already is. Her body is twisted and crumpled like a deer that's been hit by a car. She stirs, and her eyelids flutter like she might be waking up. There's no time to think or second-guess our decision. Crystal and I bolt to the truck, scrambling to get back inside. She jumps into the driver's seat, and I jump in on the passenger side. She shifts the truck into gear, and we peel out, gravel flying behind us. I keep my eyes forward. I don't look back.
33. Crystal. What is this? I ask when I finally get the courage to speak.
Keep looking.
Aiden crosses his arms on his chest like he has all day to wait.
See for yourself.
I rummage through the box, pulling out letter after letter addressed to Alice. All of them are handwritten in Nicole's loopy scrawl that I'd recognize anywhere. They date all the way back to our days in Gulfport, Mississippi. I have to skim read them because there are so many that it'd take hours to get through them all. The messages are almost identical in each one, no matter what the timestamp on top is. I'm so sorry that you had to die. Please forgive me. I would do anything to go back and save you. There are so many things I would have done differently that night. You were too young to die. You had your entire life ahead of you. I'd give mine up so that you could have yours if there was a way. I promise you that. I'm so sorry. She goes through every detail of that awful night every time she writes her a letter. Like the retelling of it will somehow end in a different outcome. There's a card for every birthday Alice would have had, more than 20 of them. And she puts each one in an envelope with an address and a stamp. Like someday she'll mail them and they'll find their way to heaven. There are even a few letters to Alice's parents. My hand goes to my mouth as I delve into her unrelenting pain and sorrow. She goes to incredible lengths describing her guilt and how it eats away at her, that she'll never truly be happy, despite the smile she wears on her face for everyone else to see. Tears fall unbidden down my cheeks. I had no idea, I say through my tears, finally looking up even though I haven't gotten through half of what's inside the box. How did she keep her pain from me all these years? Was she ever happy? Were any of the moments we shared together real?
I had the same reaction.
Aiden's eyes are wet too.
I found it a few years ago when I was moving offices in the house. She hid it in one of the cabinets in the back of the file closet. That's actually where it still is.
What did she say when you talked to her about it? My brain scrambles to make sense of what I've just read. Everything that's just happened. Why he's showing it to me now.
That's the thing. I never told her I found it.
You didn't?
I figured if she wanted me to know, then she would have told me about it. And it just seemed so incredibly personal, you know? It was like I had read her diary, and I didn't want to be that guy. Besides, we all have our secrets. She had hers, and I had mine.
The mention of his secret darkens his face and his mood. He walks over to the bed, and I flinch, scurrying to the other end, still afraid of him. He takes the gun out of the back of his waistband and hands it to me like a peace offering.
Here.
I eye him quizzically, like he's baiting me in some way, but I can't figure out why or for what. Nothing makes sense. I take the gun from him, even though I don't want to touch it. I'm terrified of guns. I've never touched one, even though Mrs. Wheeler had a .22 caliber shotgun on the farm that she used to shoot any wandering rodent that came in the yard.
Clear the chamber,
he orders. I have no idea how to use a gun. He takes the gun back from me. He points the muzzle to the ground and places his hand on the grip of the gun without putting his finger on the trigger. He presses a button on the side and the magazine pops out. He hands the magazine to me. Relief moves throughout my entire body now that it's not loaded, and as I look at the magazine, I discover that it never was. There are no bullets inside, I say in shock and surprise.
I'm a cheater, but I'm not a murderer.
He tosses the gun on the bed and raises his hands in a peaceful gesture.
I told you I couldn't hurt you, and I meant it, Crystal. In the same way that I could never hurt Nicole. But you didn't leave me any other choice. Detective Sparks told me he spoke to you about me being a suspect in Marie's murder, and that he'd warned you to stay away from me. So I knew you'd never come with me on your own. This was the only way I could get you here and to understand what needs to be done.
There are always choices, even if you don't like them. My sadness rockets to anger in seconds. And what are you talking about? There's nothing that needs to be done. You've done enough. More than enough.
Just hear me out, okay?
He doesn't wait for me to answer, knowing full well that if he does, I might get up and walk out of the room, never coming back.
We have to work as a team if we're going to help Nicole.
What do you mean? What else does he know? Is there more that Nicole hid from me? From him?
Can I trust you? I mean, really trust you?
His eyes probe mine. Trust me? I snort. Are you kidding me?
I'm serious. Anything I did to Nicole, I did to protect her. Every single thing was to keep her safe. It might not look like it, but it was.
What did you do? My stomach rolls. I don't know if I can handle any more news.
I didn't kill Marie Davenport, no matter what it looks like or what the investigators are saying. You have to believe me on that.
His eyes are desperate, pleading. I'm not sure what I believe. He's a liar. Nicole's a liar. And I'm one too. We all are.
Somehow Nicole found out about Marie, even though I always cover my tracks.
Wait, I interrupt him. Was she a one-night stand or someone you were seeing for a while? Our conversation about the details of his affair got derailed by Detective Sparks's call last night, and we never got to this part.
I don't have relationships with other women, only sex.
He shakes his head like he's disgusted by the insinuation that he had a mistress. I can't believe that insults him. Like, just having sex is okay, but having a relationship crosses some invisible line of faithfulness? I shove my anger down and focus on what's important. So how long?
A couple years.
That sounds like a relationship to me, but I don't say that to him. How'd you meet her?
Is all this really important?
Yes, Aiden. Every detail is important, especially considering she's dead. I glare at him, annoyed and angry that he'd give me any kind of attitude after he just used a gun to force me into his house.
Well, I don't usually hook up with anyone that I work with since it makes things so messy, but I made an exception for her.
His burned face lines with regret. It's the first hint of emotion he's shown over the fact that the woman he was sleeping with is dead. But I'm not sure if it's over her or because he got caught and screwed up his entire life. How was I so blind to how selfish he is?
I don't know how Nicole found out about her, but she did. I never in a million years would have thought Nicole was capable of snapping like she did, but you never know how people are going to react to things. I wouldn't have believed it myself if I didn't see the condition she came home in that night.
He shakes his head like he still can't believe it. The condition she came home in that night? Alarm bells go off inside me. What night? He looks me square in the eye.
The night Marie Davenport died.
All the air is sucked from the room. There's a long silence while we stare at each other, waiting for the other person to make the next move. I let out a shuddering breath before finally asking the only question that really matters. What happened that night? I want to get up and run out before he answers, but I'm glued to the bed. Every awful truth has to come out.
This is the end of disc number 6. Please insert disc number 7.